dominate Virginia. You pick up the phone during the Virginia gang, and we get you right on. But yet when it came time to advertise, Richard, you gave the money to WRVA, who doesn't care if you live or friggin' die.
Well, the only
Just
thing that
want to
matters
point
is the
that
audience,
out.
John.
But I have to disagree with you.
I got a bigger audience, but he gave money to WRVA, and he didn't advertise with us. But yet we get him on when he calls up, and they blow him off like a cheap suit in a rainstorm.
Yep, but I tried to contact JF Radio. I was not successful.
Come on, man. John at JF Radio. If you contacted me, John at JFRadioshow.com or Christine at JFRadioshow.com, or you called us up, are you saying that we wouldn't call you back to get your advertising? Do you know that the minute I get off the air, I sell ads until 5 or 6 o'clock? That's all I do. So that's not true. You didn't advertise with us,
so
but I'm
Right.
still taking your call out of the goodness of my heart.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Okay, but
I'll let Joe finish up because I'm pissed off that you advertise with WRVA. But go ahead, Joe.
Well, I was just saying that it's clear that your listening audience throughout Virginia is the largest of any political talk show, WRVA included, anywhere.
Thank you.
It's beyond the pale, and I'm not here to promote John Fredericks
Why not?
Radio. I'm just stating a fact.
You should promote me.
Give it.
John Fredericks and Joe Morrissey back together again. We're going to see you Monday. How do you think I pulled that off Monday? You're coming back Monday.
You strong-armed everybody?
Yeah.
That's what you do.
I didn't strong-arm Richard. He gave his money to WRVA.
You know, I listened to Saxman and Chap today, and I'm thinking to myself, boy, they were both hot.
They were hot.
They were. How about a ticket? An independent ticket.
Peterson, Saxman.
Peterson as for governor and Saxman for...
I'm all in, baby. Let's go. Hey, we got to go. Micah Patrick Leahy next. Hey, Joe and I are going to see you on Monday. I'll be in Washington, D.C., land of milk and honey. See you then.
At townhall.com.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Good morning to the John Fredericks Media Network. We are indeed broadcasting live from our studios in Nashville, Tennessee. It is Friday, January 16th, 2026. It's time for the Morning Rundown, brought to you every day at this time by our friends at the Glock Store, glockstore.com. Located just a few miles from the airport right here in Nashville, Tennessee. So here we go. Here's the morning rundown for Friday, January 16th, 2026. Number one, Minnesota riots continue. I mean, you see all these crazy leftists rioting in the streets. Minneapolis police nowhere to be found. Apparently they've been told, some reports say they've been told to stand down because, you know, what are police supposed to do when there's a riot? In Minneapolis, they stand down. Will Donald Trump invoke the Insurrection Act? A lot of people who've been up there say, now is the time. Number two, here in Tennessee, the Tennessee General Assembly has introduced aggressive state legislation that would ensure enforcement and cooperation with federal immigration law, a marked contrast to the craziness, the insanity of Minnesota and other blue states. Tom Pappert will join us at the bottom hour of the hour to talk about that. Number three, Machado, the winner, the woman who won the Nobel Peace Prize, was in Washington, D.C., the White House yesterday, and presented the Peace Prize to Donald Trump. The Nobel Peace Prize group out of Norway didn't like it, but who cares? Number four, Denmark, not Denver. Denmark is wavering on keeping Greenland. The pressure is on. Number five, we're going to play this clip for you. It is beyond fantastic. Caroline Leavitt, the great press secretary, absolutely destroyed a left-wing journalist. I'll give you more on that, where that journalist is from, in the White House yesterday. Basically, he said, when did Donald Trump stop beating his wife? And she just destroyed him. Number six, in hour two, we'll be joined by Hans von Spakovsky, a great attorney, who is now with Advancing American Freedom. We'll be talking about the problem of anti-Semitism in America today and what can be done legally about that. Number 7, Josh Tifo, who is the Turning Point USA senior executive, good friend of the late Charlie Kirk, will be here in studio in hour 3, if all goes well, and we will be making a major announcement about Turning Point USA and the National Constitution Bee. And number 8, teachers unions. I know this will shock you. Reports are coming out, the biggest teachers union in the country, aiding and abetting left-wing activists all around the country, and particularly in Minnesota. So there you go. That's the morning rundown for Friday, January 16th, 2026. Brought to you by our friends at the Glock Store. For years, you've been hearing me talk about how the Glock Store is everything Glock. Hey, that's why the founder and friend of our program, Lenny McGill, that's why he named it the Glock Store. Have you heard about the latest Glocks, the Gen 6? Well, you bet Lenny McGill has. Lenny tells me the new Gen 6 Glocks have a new optic system, RTF6 texturing, an enlarged beaver tail, a flat face trigger, the trigger guard undercut, and an integrated thumb rest, also known as the gas pedal. Now, I don't really know what all that means, but I'm telling you, Lenny McGill does. In fact, Lenny tells me the Gen 6 Glocks are definitely the most refined Glocks ever produced. And as you might expect, the Glock Store has already received their first shipment of Gen 6 G17s, 19s, and 45s, and they're all gone now because they were ordered before they even arrived at the warehouse. Glock Store is letting you pre-order these new Glocks, so you'll be the one to get your hands on it first. And as a thank you for your pre-order, you'll get an extra magazine when you receive your new Gen 6 Glock. Here's what you do. Go to glockstore.com, click on the Gen 6 tab at the top of the website, place your pre-order for the Glock or Glocks of your choice. When they ship you your new Glock to the FFL of your choice, or you pick it up at the Glock Store retail showroom here in Nashville, the Glock Store will throw in an extra magazine. Now, this is a limited time offer, only for pre-orders and only from my friends at the Glock Store, the #1 source for Glock parts, accessories, and the new Gen 6 Glocks. Visit glockstore.com today. I promise you'll be glad you did. So there you go. All right. So I told you that Caroline Leavitt just destroyed a lefty hack journalist. Here's the dialogue, and then I'll tell you about this lefty hack journalist. Clip 1, Caroline Leavitt, yesterday in the White House.
Correctly. 32 people died in ICE custody last year. 170 U.S. citizens were detained by ICE, and Renee Good was shot in the head and killed by an ICE agent. How does that equate to them doing everything correctly?
Why was Renee Good unfortunately and tragically killed?
Are you asking me my opinion? Because an ICE agent acted recklessly and killed her unjustifiably.
Oh, okay. So you're a biased reporter with a left-wing opinion.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, because you're a left-wing hack. You're not a reporter. You're posing in this room as a journalist, and it's so clear by the premise of your question. And you and the people in the media who have such biases but fake like you're a journalist, you shouldn't even be sitting in that seat. But you're pretending like you're a journalist, but you're a left-wing activist. And the question that you just raised and your answer proves your bias. You should be reporting on the facts. You should be reporting on the cases. Do you have the numbers of how many American citizens were killed at the hands of illegal aliens who ICE is trying to remove from this country? I bet you don't. I bet you didn't even read up on those stories. I bet you never even read about Laken Riley or Jocelyn Nungray or all of the innocent Americans who were killed at the hands of illegal aliens in this country. And the brave men and women of ICE are doing everything in their power to remove those heinous individuals and make our communities safer. And shame on people like you in the media who have a crooked view and have a biased view and pretend like you're a real honest journalist.
Boom! She steamrolled that guy. Who is that guy, and why is he asking such a biased question? Well, I happen to find out who he is. This won't surprise you. He's from Northern Ireland. His name is Niall Stannage. And he has, a typical lefty background. He's written for all sorts of lefty groups like the Salon, right? You know those guys. The Guardian, the Irish Independent, and now, this guy is such a lefty. Here's a book he wrote. Ready? Redemption Song, an Irish reporter inside the Obama campaign. What's the redemption here? This is lefty commie guilt, right? And he went to Oxford. Of course he went to Oxford. And he works now for The Hill. Now, The Hill is this left-wing outlet that's owned by Nexstar Media, which owns about 100 local television stations, including right here in Nashville, WKRN. And so, he'd taken down properly. All right, let's go on now to the other clip I want to get to right now. Leftists in public schools. Clip number 2. Here's an Iowa public school teacher.
It's funny, then why are you laughing? Because that is what has happened. And if you do not process that, you need to process that right now. It is fine. If you don't like the fact that she was warning people about ICE being in the neighborhood, that's fine. It is okay for you to not have liked that she was doing that. That's okay. But what you need to understand is that she was told to leave the area. And so she was turning her vehicle away.
Okay, this is a left-wing teacher haranguing a student who's giving her a hard time about her lefty views about Nicole Good, shot by an ICE agent. Hey, we'll have more when we come back. More on insurrection in Minnesota. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
These illegal skill games, they keep popping up. Fights break out. They're illegal. We got drugs. We got gangs. They're all over the place. How do you get illegal slot machines in convenience stores when Governor Youngkin, you vetoed it? And no referendum, nobody passed it. How are they still here?
At the end of the day, it is local Commonwealth's attorneys that have to bring the cases against the establishments and to get them out. And so, yes, I vetoed bills. The High Court has said that they can't be there. And on top of that, our Attorney General has done a full investigation. And we go back to our Commonwealth's attorneys in so many jurisdictions refuse to enforce the law. That's the bottom line. They protect the criminals at the expense of the victims. And that's why, again, elections matter. We have got to elect prosecutors who will put people in jail.
This ad paid for by Churchill Downs.
Get in. We're stealing homes. We're not like those other home criminals that steal your stuff. We steal your hard-earned home equity. We find your property online from the public record. Got it. Create a deed transfer that makes us the homeowners. Got it. And borrow tons of cash against your equity, and you won't know till the foreclosure notice hits months later.
Just go to HometitleLock.com/Godzilla. Protect yourself.
Attention construction pros. Purple Wave Auction brings quality equipment to your fingertips. Join our bi-weekly online auctions featuring dozers, excavators, loaders, and more. We provide detailed listings, photos, and seller contact info. Inspect online or in person. With our no reserve policy, every item sells to the highest bidder. Visit purplewave.com today and see why informed builders choose Purple Wave. Transparent processes, real deals. Your next great purchase awaits. purplewave.com.
Download to see if you qualify for Albert Instant Advance. Not all customers will qualify. Transfer fees may apply. No Albert subscription is required for Instant Advance. Please see the Albert app or albert.com for subscription pricing. Subscriptions can be canceled at any time.
Kylie, what's wrong? I just got hit with a car repair bill. I'm behind on rent, and I feel like I can never save any money.
Have you tried the Albert app? You can get up to a $1,000 advance fast to pay for car repairs, bills, rent, groceries, whatever you need. Plus, Albert can help you find ways to save and give you a custom budget to actually grow your money.
Albert can get me up to $1,000?
Exactly. But they do more than get you up to $1,000. Albert is your financial assistant, helping you budget, save, and spotting you money in a pinch.
I'm downloading Albert right now.
Download the Albert app and use promo code MONEY to get up to $1,000 for your bills, rent, groceries, and more. The Albert app helps you budget better and save more money so you reach your financial goals faster. Download the Albert app right now and use promo code MONEY to get up to $1,000. Use code MONEY to get up to $1,000.
I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of Glockstore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported the Second Amendment rights of free men and women to protect themselves and their families with firearms. We offer the very best in both selection and prices on Glock handguns, custom Glocks, Glock magazines, and high-performance shooting accessories at Glockstore.com. We also have the finest retail showroom and our Shoot 270 shoot rooms right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Come visit us at Glockstore.com, and you'll be glad you did.
This is State Senator Mark Pouty. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pouty.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pouty, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. We are broadcasting live from our studios in Nashville, Tennessee. If you want to call us, our number is 615-814-2848, 615-814-2848. We need three things from you. We need, number one, your name. Number two, the state in which you reside. And number three, your topic. Three things. 615-814-2848, 615-814-2848. All right, we're going to go. This is I guess this is Insurrection Friday, right? Will Donald Trump invoke the Insurrection Act? 17 presidents have done that. Most recently, Dwight Eisenhower in 1957, when Little Rock, Arkansas, the governor there refused to allow black students to go to high school. Boom, 101st Airborne went in. And then in 62, 63, Mississippi, Alabama didn't want to segregate their institutions of higher education. Boom, Insurrection Act, federal troops, Mississippi and Alabama. Right now, you have a very dangerous situation in Minneapolis where you have thousands of left-wing kooks who are destroying federal property, some of putting ICE agents in life-threatening situations, and you've got the Minneapolis police doing nothing about it, letting it happen, and the Minnesota State Patrol, who knows what they're doing, right? They've been told, or reports have been told to stand down. Here is Tom Homan. I think he's going into the White House today to talk to President Trump about invoking the Insurrection Act. Clip 4.
Is it time for the Insurrection Act, or would that just add gasoline to the fire?
Well, I'm not going to get ahead of the president on that, but it's certainly an option, a viable option. So actually, I'll be meeting with the president tomorrow. So, I think it's something that needs to be on the table because this cannot continue. There is going to be more bloodshed. I'm telling you. I hope I'm wrong, but I haven't been yet. There's going to be more bloodshed if something hasn't done.
It's going to spread, and most Minnesotans, by the way, and I want to say this tonight because folks have reached out to me, support ICE. It's this radical group of anarchists, and when you see them close up, you really get a sense of who they are. It's this crowd, a lot of them paid, a lot of them working, double shifts of protest against the rest of the state, which are reasonable, common sense, peaceful people of all backgrounds, including immigrant backgrounds. They don't like what's happened in the Twin Cities, and we're going to expose more about Jacob Fry in a moment. But, Tom, I think most people are good people. They want the bad people out, and they want some peace in their neighborhoods.
And we're going to get the bad people out. And as far as the organization, everybody that's planning these protests, giving these people weapons and funding this, again, justice is coming because we're deep diving that whole thing.
Yeah, and they really should deep dive on it. And look, I think when you'll find out that leftists like George Soros are funding it, the Chinese-friendly, the guy who lives in Beijing, this Roy Singham guy, who made a lot of money in some big consulting firm for big tech companies. That guy, I think he just leveraged his Sri Lankan background as a minority and got a whole bunch of big company contracts. That's where I think his wealth came. But anyways, so they're trying to undermine and overthrow our constitutional republic. Jonathan Turley, professor of law at George Washington University, had this to say about the likelihood of the invoking of the Insurrection Act.
Well, I hope that this can be avoided, but if you're asking the question of does he have the authority to invoke it, I think he does. The Insurrection Act is very generally worded. It allows a president to call out a military force in order to enforce the laws of the United States. That was done by Presidents Eisenhower and Kennedy in very similar circumstances. In those circumstances, you had local officials, including governors, who were extremely aggressive, anti-federal government, saying they would not assist in the enforcement of civil rights laws. These are obviously different laws. These are the immigration laws, but both are laws of the United States. And you have a governor here and a mayor who have been fueling the rage, telling people that they're under attack. You have Democratic senators just this week saying democracy might not last till November. All of that's creating the very volatile situation. So under the Insurrection Act, the president has a great deal of authority. What it gives the president is essentially a way around the Posse Comitatus Act, which prevents him from using the military domestically. The Insurrection Act removes that barrier and allows him to call out troops, as did Eisenhower and Kennedy.
Yeah, and I think here's the thing. There is plenty of reason and legal authority to call out the troops. Because what you have there is, I don't know, maybe 10,000 nutcases totally breaking the law without any local law enforcement to stop them. I mean, it's a mob. They're just allowing a mob to go in there. Now, would it fan the flames? Maybe. That's probably why he's hesitating a little bit. Oh, by the way, the president has a few other things on his mind, like Iran and Venezuela and Cuba and Greenland. So he's pretty busy. I'm not sure, if you want to do something, it's always best to focus on one thing. Now, how many flashpoints do we have? We got a lot of flashpoints for the president. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I would be in favor of invoking the Insurrection Act. I probably would have, if he'd asked me, I would have said, yeah, do it yesterday. But, we'll see how it works out. If the weekend heats up, yeah, definitely should consider doing it. Now, Charles Dickens wrote this famous book about the time of the French Revolution, 1790s, A Tale of Two Cities, London, England, which went down the path of liberty then, and Paris, France, which went down into authoritarian violation of the rule of law, rule of mob. Well, right now, we could do an update to that, a tale of two states. On the one hand, you have Minnesota with a crazy governor who's a leftist and a crazy mayor in Minneapolis and a mixed state legislature. But here in Tennessee, yesterday, the Tennessee General Assembly, the Speaker of the House and the Majority Leader of the State Senate said, we are introducing legislation that makes it very clear that in Tennessee, we are going to cooperate with strong enforcement by the federal government of immigration laws. Here's State Senate Majority Leader, our friend, Jack Johnson.
What I'd like to add to this conversation is we have a once-in-a-generation opportunity that we're experiencing right now under President Donald J. Trump. In my entire adulthood, in my entire adult life, We've had administration after administration in the White House, Republican and Democrat, who have committed and pledged to secure the border and to rid our communities of violent illegal aliens. We finally have a president in the White House now who is doing just that. So we as a state feel compelled to do everything we can to make sure that we are cooperating with the federal government. We see other states that are impeding the efforts of our federal immigration officers. We have governors and other elected officials in other states that are trying to stop the federal government from getting violent illegal aliens out of their communities. So we're sending a very strong message today with this legislative package that in Tennessee we want to be the model for the nation, that we're not only going to cooperate with the White House and our federal immigration enforcement officials, but we're going to do everything we can to make sure that they are successful. So I'm grateful to Speaker Sexton, the Lieutenant Governor, and my colleagues. We're going to have a very, very productive session here in 2026 and again be the model for the rest of the nation relative to this issue. Thank you.
Well, Tennessee is going to be the model for the rest of the nation in a number of things. This in particular. We're going to show how states should cooperate aggressively with federal agencies that are enforcing immigration law. And look, what's going on in Minnesota is they're trying to basically undo the results of the 2024 election. Two elements to that election: secure the border. Trump did that. And then get rid of the illegal alien criminals. What they're doing is they're trying to prevent President Trump from getting rid of illegal alien criminals. It's not going to happen here in Tennessee. In fact, I mean, this is another reason. If you live in one of these blue states, where are you going to go? I'll tell you what, a lot of people moving to Texas, a lot of people to Florida. The very best state in the union right now, state income tax-free Tennessee. Hey, when we come back, our lead political reporter, Tom Pappert, is going to flesh out the details of this package of pro-immigration law enforcement state legislation that was introduced in the Tennessee General Assembly yesterday. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy. We'll be right back after this.
Now more than ever, it's imperative to support companies that share our conservative values. That's why I can't be more excited to tell you that I've switched my family to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you shift your support away from the leftist, woke, progressive agendas of Big Mobile. Patriot Mobile's wireless service works perfectly and seamlessly as you go about your lives with exceptional nationwide coverage that uses the same towers the main carriers use. Patriot Mobile donates a portion of every dollar earned to causes you care about, to organizations that fight for religious freedom, First and Second Amendments, sanctity of life, and the needs of veterans and first responders. Patriot Mobile has plans to fit any budget, along with great discounts for our veterans and first responder heroes, as well as multi-line users. Switching is easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Godzilla or call their U.S.-based customer service team, 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-728-7468. Use offer code Godzilla for free activation.
How much did you win at Rosie's Gaming Emporium?
Hi, I'm Jerry from Richmond. I won a $23,000 jackpot at Rosie's.
I'm Tammy. I'm from Newport News, and I just won a $5,400 jackpot from Rosie's.
Hi, my name is Kim, and I'm from West Virginia, and I won $99,000 jackpot at Rosie's.
Are you ready? Learn more about Rosie's rewards and jackpots at rosiesgaming.com. Must be 18 or older. Problem gambling? Call 1-888-532-3500.
The math is simple. Every dollar we waste on unnecessary federal supervision is a dollar we can't use to fight violent crime. The Safer Supervision Act cuts bureaucratic waste and frees up law enforcement resources to protect families from serious threats. Law enforcement officers across the country and Republicans in Congress agree this is a smarter way to improve public safety. Stop the waste, protect our communities, fix federal supervision. Visit safersupervision.com to help. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
The Cats and Cosby Show.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories.
It's not that all Somalis are criminal. It's just that 90% of these crimes are being committed by Somali Americans. And if you came to this country and you took advantage of the Americans' generosity, you committed fraud, and you refused to assimilate, you know what? I got 4 words for you. Get the hell out.
Cats and Cosby, 5 Eastern, 4 Central on the John Fredericks Media Network.
The book needs to be thrown at these people.
What if you had a plan to build income outside your job? At Lifestyles Unlimited, you'll learn how people are investing in real estate to grow their income and make smarter financial choices one property at a time. Right now, join us for just $297. That's a savings of $443 off our real estate education program. Text RADIO to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007. Presented by Lifestyles Unlimited.
My fellow Americans, I have to tell you about my good friends at D.T. McCall & Sons. They have furniture and appliances and a lot more. They've been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years, and they're not going to rip you off. No hidden charges, no delivery charges, no charges for all of the crazy things. These are sick people at the lumber yards. These are very sick people. They charge you for cords and hoses and haul off. They charge you for all of these things. They call them hidden charges. It's the type of surprise that you don't want to see. It's like an October surprise, but it's worse. D.T. McCall & Sons, they're not going to do that. They're great people. They're going to give you a great deal. With locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, D.T. McCall & Sons will give you the deal of your life. Check them out today or go to dtmccalls.com.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. We are indeed broadcasting live from our studios in Nashville, Tennessee. We are joined on our Zoom Newsmaker line right now by our lead political reporter at the Tennessee Star and the Star News Network, the winner of the Dow Prize for the best local journalism in the country, along with our executive editor, Christina Boteri, and yours truly, joining us now, the one, the only, Tom Pappert. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Michael.
Yeah, I keep working on those introductions, you know, because there's just
they just get better and better. I remember when I used to just be the one up to John Solomon. Now I'm my own thing.
You're your own thing now. There's a brand. It's called the Tom Pappert Investigative Journalism brand, part of the Tennessee Star and the Star News Network. Okay, so it's a tale of two states. You've got out of control Minnesota, violating every federal immigration law there is, and allowing rioters to destroy federal property and threaten the lives of federal agents, ICE agents, etc. But yesterday, here's what I think. I'll put it this way. You know, we talked about Donald Trump having a high dose of FAFO testosterone, right? Well,
right.
We have it here in Tennessee as well. And in the form of our leadership in the Tennessee General Assembly, Speaker of the House Cam Sexton, House Majority Leader William Lamberth, Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally, and State Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson leading the way. Tell us about this package of pro-federal government cooperative state legislation that was introduced in the Tennessee General Assembly yesterday.
Michael, I must say, this is really a landmark package of legislation from the Tennessee General Assembly, and this is kind of how the Republican leadership in the volunteer state seems to like to operate. It's reminiscent of last year when we were waiting for the school choice bill, we were waiting for immigration bills. We kept seeing individual bills proposed, and you and I would sit and think, maybe that's what they're going to morph into X, Y, or Z bill. And then suddenly, all at once, it became clear exactly what the the plan was. Well, that's what happened yesterday. This is a smorgasbord of legislation. Among the bills and legislative priorities proposed include the verification of legal status for public benefits. So cities and the state of Tennessee will no longer be able to provide welfare benefits to any individual without confirming they are a U.S. citizen. It would also empower the Attorney General to withhold shared sales tax revenue to verify to individual counties and cities that are refusing to comply with this requirement. It would also expand mandatory e-verify specifically for government jobs. No more taxpayer dollars going to employ people who should not be in the country. We're also talking about increased professional licensing standards for teachers, nurses, contractors, and other regulated occupations to keep those industries for American citizens. And of course, no immigration policy agenda would be complete in 2026 without new steps to verify citizenship for driver's license and CDL holders. This would be a new verification for all drivers to obtain lawful status before they can get a driver's license. CDL applicants must be able to recognize traffic signs in English, regardless of how. I know.
How mean
Isn't it
can
so
you
crazy?
be? You mean to be a
And
commercial?
believe it or not, we're only halfway done. There's also K-12 enrollment verification, mandatory court and law enforcement operation, and it will become illegal in the state of Tennessee for an illegal immigrant to enter the United States or re-enter after being deported.
So that's interesting. Well, it's already a felony, but then they're at the federal level. But that gives kind of a state law enforcement the ability to arrest somebody if this passes, right? If you've been deported and you re-enter right now, it's a federal felony, but now this would make it a state crime and would authorize any local police officer or Tennessee Highway Patrol to arrest an illegal alien who's been deported and come back in. Do I have that right?
That's exactly right. And this, I think, would help dispel the fiction that is spreading on the left. And you even see it on major networks and from Democrats where they claim absurdly that it's not a offense to cross the country, to cross the border illegally.
Goodness.
It is. It's a misdemeanor. And when you do it again, it's a felony. And by making Tennessee's laws comport with this, as you said, it will empower every member of law enforcement in the state to effectively enforce the country's immigration law.
That's really smart. That's really smart that they did that, because that basically leverages the federal agencies who are enforcing immigration law with state and local officials. That's really, really, really good to see that happen. Okay, so let's talk about this shared sales tax withholding. So some of the sales tax collected by the state goes back to counties, right? The counties collect some of their own, but some of the sales tax from the state goes back to the counties. In this instance, if you've got a county that is not cooperating with ICE detainers, for instance, or maybe even, I guess, participating in this 287G program, then the state could say, you know, you're not going to get this money. It seems to me the counties that would likely have the problem here with getting this money would be, wait for it, Davidson, which is Nashville County, Shelby County, Memphis, Knoxville, Knox County, Hamilton County, Chattanooga, where, you know, they're not full on Minneapolis, but they would, if the state law didn't prohibit sanctuary cities, they would have gone that way. Your thoughts on that, Tom Pappert?
I think that's correct, but I also think that's why this legislation is so brilliant, because it is tied to public benefits. And for better or worse, it is the residents of big blue cities that by and large depend on public benefits. They depend on local public benefits as well. So again, this is one of these moments we've talked about where the Democrats in control of the far left cities are going to be between a rock and a hard place. Do they accept that they will no longer have certain welfare benefits offered to their voter base in exchange for protecting illegal immigrants who can't even vote for them, but hopefully they'll commit fraud or their kids will vote for them? Or do they support their voter base who will become very upset that the illegal immigrants are not being protected? I love anything Republicans can do that puts Democrats in a difficult situation.
Now, let's talk about this, the K-12 enrollment verification. Tell us about that.
Now, this is, I'm confident, going to expand an ongoing effort in Tennessee, but maybe get a concrete part of it put into law. This would verify the lawful status of K-12 students to ensure transparency within classrooms. It does not go as far as Tennessee's other ongoing legislation that's getting some new life this year that would give schools the right to deny or to charge tuition for enrollment of illegal immigrant students. This simply would track the number of illegal immigrant students within the schools, and I think that alone would be an immense persuasive tool. I don't think anybody really has any ideas what it means when Democrats like Tim Walz say, we have 200 languages spoken in our schools. I don't think anybody understands the consequences of that for students, and this could be a good way to begin explaining this to the public.
So this is sort of step one, I think, of the other legislation. In other words, every school will have to document the status of the student. Were they born outside of the United States, right? And it would also clarify students who were born in the United States to illegal alien parents as well? Does it add that category or not?
That's my understanding, but I'm not sure. I'll have to look at the specific language within the law because I'm sure there's all sorts of privacy concerns that the left will bring up as this debate moves forward, but that's my understanding.
Okay, so then every school, 1 million K-12 students in the state of Tennessee in public schools, right? It's almost that, like 950,000. So every school, if this passes, would have to, I think probably at the start of next school year, identify whether the student was an illegal alien or a citizen. And then from there, the next step would be there will be a law under consideration, which says, local school districts can deny free education to illegal alien children. And, basically they put it at the local level and they just charge tuition for it. Makes sense because actually illegal alien children who are attending public schools, most of them can't speak English. And so now you've got to, add money to hire a teacher to teach them English. Common sense to me, Tom. Your thoughts?
Oh, and it's so much crazier. In some cases, you'll have one teacher who speaks a given language, and they have to go between 10 or more classrooms throughout the day, giving foreign language students, 90 seconds of their time. There's no way for these poor foreign-born students and children of foreign-born individuals, that's no way for them to learn. But even more importantly, the illegal immigrant students who are in these schools suffer as a result. It is, of course, important to note that as I said, the effort, it's already been pitched. It was pitched last year as legislation to give schools the power to charge tuition or deny enrollment to illegal immigrants. That is a separate bill. It was not included as part of this package. Last year, it was making some great progress. There was some Republican concern about blowback at the Supreme Court. Obviously, though, the bill is created to undo some 1980 Supreme Court precedent that stated all public schools must allow illegal immigrants to attend. And I think now, of course, is the time to do it. But it's very interesting. Stephen Miller had a lot to do with this legislative package for it not to be included.
Yeah. Speaker Sexton, State Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson have been working very closely with Stephen Miller on this stuff. So Tennessee leading the way. Hey, Tom, when we come back, we have another education story. It's one that we broke a while back. There's an update. Parents at the private school here in Nashville, Lipscomb Academy, are unhappy with sort of the DEI direction they claim is going on there. Tom will give us an update after the break.
Is a record player the best way to listen to music? Of course not. So why are you still taking vitamins in pill form that haven't been upgraded since the 1930s? Even if you don't have trouble swallowing, most vitamins in pill form can't be absorbed very well. It's time to upgrade to the pill-free future of vitamins. Advanced nutrition company, Healthy Cell, created a patent-pending ingestible gel that is clinically proven to have 265% the absorption rate of tablets. These physician-formulated supplements come in a small gel pack. You tear off the top and shoot it down. You can also mix it in water. They taste great, they're convenient on the go, and they're more natural too, without chemical binders, fillers, and coatings. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of any product. That's healthycell.com. HEALTHYCELL.com.
Get in. We're stealing homes. We're not like those other home criminals that steal your stuff. We steal your hard-earned home equity. We find your property online from the public record. Got it. Create a deed transfer that makes us the homeowners. Got it. Then borrow tons of cash against your equity, and you won't know till the foreclosure notice hits months later.
Just go to HometitleLock.com/Godzilla. Protect yourself.
This past year has been one of the hardest in MyPillow's history. It's because of you that they're making it through. They want to thank you for your continued support by passing on some Christmas specials to our listeners. Get the Children's Bible Story Pillow 5-pack for $29.98. My Slippers with a free bottle of leather protectant spray for $39.98. Blankets, comforters, and duvets for as low as $25. And a blowout sale on the standard My Pillows for just $14.98. So go to mypillow.com or call 800-854-0504 and use promo code Godzilla to take advantage of these wholesale prices, including the standard size MyPillow, originally $49.98, now only $14.98. Queens $18.99, Kings only $1 more. We know MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty, but MyPillow has just announced that they are extending their 60-day money-back guarantee. That's right. Orders placed between now and December 25th will have their 60-day money-back guarantee extended through March 1st, 2026.
The Cats and Cosby Show.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories.
It's not that all Somalis are criminal. It's just that 90% of these crimes are being committed by Somali Americans. And if you came to this country and you took advantage of the Americans' generosity, you committed fraud, and you refused to assimilate, you know what? I got 4 words for you. Get the hell out.
Cats and Cosby, 5 Eastern, 4 Central on the John Fredericks Media Network.
The book needs to be thrown at these people.
Hey there, it's Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of GlockStore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported our Second Amendment rights with GlockStore.com, the world's #1 source for Glock handguns, parts, and accessories. I also support accurate, unbiased journalism like The Michael Patrick Leahy Show. His team broke the Kilmar Abrego Garcia traffic stop and was the first to obtain that video. Independent journalism at its finest. Visit us at GlockStore.com, listen to Michael Patrick Leahy, and make America great again.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Tom Pappert, our lead political reporter. Tom, you've been reporting on a story about some trouble at Lipscomb Academy, which is part of David Lipscomb University. It's now called Lipscomb University, named after David Lipscomb, who was a 19th century leader in the Church of Christ. The Church of Christ, of course, is a Protestant denomination. Prominent schools like Abilene Christian University, Lipscomb, Pepperdine, etc. I attend and a member of a Church of Christ here in Nashville, Owen Chapel Church of Christ in Brentwood, which has, by the way, been in the same building since 1860. How about that? The longest operating church in the same building, I think, in the United States. But so Lipscomb University, some of the parents there have been unhappy with some of the things that arose after the death of Charlie Kirk. Set it up first and then go to the latest part of the story.
Well, this all began in September, shortly after the tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk, when a group of Lipscomb students wanted to wear formal jackets and red ties to mourn and commemorate the loss of the conservative icon who was really an icon to young people, high school and college kids. Well, a faculty member and administration member kept them from wearing these jackets, pulled the boys into his office, told them that they did not have permission. There was all sorts of denials and confusion. The Tennessee Star, I kept sending comment requests asking for clarification on whether these students were allowed to wear the jackets. We were told they were allowed to at a later date. We later learned this is not true. This continued for quite some time until the head of school, a guy by the name of Brad Schultz, announced the reassignment of the faculty member, the administration member who made this decision, another fellow by the name of Jesse Savage. Well, we did some more digging about Lipscomb after the parents said that the school was still bungling its Charlie Kirk memorials. And we found out that this individual, Dr. Brad Schultz, had written a dissertation back in 2013 about the efforts to institute DEI and demographic change at a Christian private school in the South. Apparently not Lipscomb, but some other school. And the parents yesterday released an open letter, a collection of anonymous parents at Lipscomb Academy, that extolled some new or exposed rather some new elements of this dissertation that were not previously publicly reported. For example, Brad Schultz, the head of school at this Christian institution, apparently wrote in his dissertation that the school not only sought to increase its students based on race, in other words, they considered a student's race in the admissions process, but they may have done the same for faculty. Quote, Schultz concludes that these efforts were successful, boasting that the school's student body diversity increased from 1% to 25%, and quote, the school's faculty and staff diversity increased from 0% to 15% minority representation. The parents warn that this same sort of planning, the same sort of DEI infiltration is now happening at Lipscomb Academy. They point to the new hires made under Schultz's tenure and also warn that that the curriculum has now been made lousy with DEI and social and emotional learning, which they say are two fundamentally anti-Christian concepts that are now being taught at a Christian K-12 school.
Has Lipscomb Academy responded to this letter? A number of parents wrote it anonymously. They fear retribution for their kids. I mean, we're publishing the letter. It's at the TennesseeStar.com. I look at that, and I'm not sure why you do that, because it seems to me that the school, it appears to be pretty much determined to introduce DEI, and rather than keep your kid there, I think it's probably time to find a new school. But what's the school said?
Well, the school has not replied to this letter. Now, when we asked them, because the Tennessee Star reached out last year after this controversy emerged, and we asked, Are you continuing your DEI programs? And more importantly, is the school, either Lipscomb University or Lipscomb Academy, concerned with the Trump administration's efforts to end any federal dollars going to educational institutions that push DEI? And they told us that both Lipscomb Academy and Lipscomb University are fully compliant with all Department of Education and Department of Justice guidance on matters related to diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Sounds pretty
I think now that this
boilerplate.
letter has gone out,
Yeah.
we're going to have to reach back out.
Well, yeah, I mean, ask them, okay, the parents are saying what they're trying to tell the school is this. You've gone full DEI. That's what the parents are saying. Stop it. Go back to being a Christian school. But, Lipscomb, keep us posted on how Lipscomb responds. I don't think that, knowing the way these things work, I would be very surprised if Lipscomb confirms that their DEI curriculum is still there, or that they'll do anything to change it. But hey, maybe I'll be surprised. Tom Pappert, thanks so much for your great reporting.
Hope springs eternal, Michael. It's always a pleasure.
Well done. Hey, when we come back, our good friend, legal expert Hans von Spakovsky, will talk about the rise of anti-Semitism in America and what can be done about it. Back after this.
Each of us is born with 30 trillion cells that make us. These cells determine how we feel, perform, sleep, focus, and how long we live. And to live our best life, all we have to do is feed our cells properly. But most supplements don't reach our cells, keeping us from reaching our full potential. Make every cell count with Healthy Cell. Founded with a mission to empower people to take control of their own health at the most fundamental level, the cell. Dr. Vincent Gempapa, world-renowned cell researcher and medical doctor, created supplements that work at the cellular level to support immune health, better sleep, sharper focus, and healthy aging. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of any product. That's healthycell.com, HEALTHYCELL, and use code GODZILLA for 20% off.
Lifestyles Unlimited is a real estate education group that gives you the roadmap and resources to start building income through real estate. You'll learn practical strategies for using investment properties to create extra income and make informed decisions, one step at a time. Join today for just $297. That's a 60% savings off the regular price of our real estate education program. Text RADIO to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007. Presented by Lifestyles Unlimited.
John Fredericks loves his radio and TV audience, but did you know how to follow the Godzilla of Truth wherever you go? Download the John Fredericks Radio Show app to listen live nationwide. For the daily chit-chat, Trucking the Truth, download the Getter app and join the morning fun on Getter Live from 6 to 10 a.m. Follow John Fredericks on Getter, Truth Social, or Twitter at JF Radio.
This is WJFN Goochland, Bonaire, Chester, and WJFB Portsmouth, part of the John Fredericks Media Network.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. It was another night of demonstrations in Minneapolis, but authorities say they were more subdued after the governor and mayor implored protesters to remain peaceful. Meanwhile, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem defends the actions of all ICE agents, some of whom have used aggressive tactics.
Every single action that our ICE officers take is according to the law and following protocols that we have used for years, that this administration has used, that the previous administration used. They are doing everything correctly.
President Trump still considering invoking the Insurrection Act that would mobilize U.S. troops. A South Korean court has sentenced former President Yoon to 5 years in prison on some charges related to his imposition of martial law. The verdict is the first against Yoon in the 8 criminal trials over the decree that he issued back in 2024 and other allegations. Prosecutors say former NCAA players are among those facing charges over rigged basketball games.
Federal prosecutors are charging 26 people, including former college basketball players who allegedly tried to fix games as recently as last season in what they call a scheme to rig NCAA and Chinese Basketball Association games. U.S. Attorney David Metcalf.
They would bribe said player to deliberately underperform so that his team would lose by more than they were favored to.
Of the defendants named in Thursday's indictment, 15 played basketball for Division I NCAA schools as recently as the 2024-25 season. 5 others were described by authorities as fixers. I'm Gethin Coolball.
Negotiations are taking place aimed at ending the nurses' strike in New York City, which began Monday. Hospitals have hired thousands of temporary workers to keep emergency rooms and other facilities open. More at townhall.com.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. Now that we're finally into the new year, a lot of us are thinking about taxes, home projects we've been putting off, ways to get ahead financially in 2026. Now's the perfect time to talk to my friends at Fellowship Home Loans. If you want to lower your mortgage payment, they can help you refinance. If you need access to cash for home improvements or to wipe out high-interest debt, their fixed-rate line of credit is one of the best tools out there. Fast approval, predictable rate, and flexibility to use your home's equity wisely. Remember, many people still qualify to skip their next 2 mortgage payments. Imagine starting big projects or paying down debt with 2 months of breathing room. My family and I have used Fellowship personally. I trust these guys. Take control of 2026. Go to fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. or call 800-510-MIKE. That's 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans. Mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers. DBA Fellowship Home Loans. Equal housing lender. NMLS number 819382.
More mini fridges are being recalled by Curtis International, with nearly 1 million products now on the list.
The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission warns that the mini fridges have electrical components that can short circuit and ignite. Owners are urged to stop using the fridges and visit the company's website for refund instructions. Curtis International says the fridges were made between January 2020 and December 2023. The newly recalled model was sold in-store and online at Target. The Frigidaire branded products recalled last year were sold by retailers like Walmart and Amazon. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The U.S. and Taiwan have signed a trade deal involving $250 billion in new investments by Taiwan's semiconductor and tech companies in the U.S. In exchange, the Trump administration will cut tariffs on Taiwanese goods. News and analysis at townhall.com. Things are looking up for a company that's helping to keep the AI revolution booming. Bob Agnew reports.
Taiwan-based TSMC, the world's largest computer chip maker, says it plans to increase its capital spending by nearly 40% this year. That's after it reported a 35% jump in its net profit for the latest quarter. TSMC is benefiting from strong global demand due to the boom in artificial intelligence. Bob Agnew reports.
Social media companies have revoked access to about 4.5 million accounts identified as belonging to children in Australia after the country banned platform use by those under age 16. The law took effect last month. Platforms like Facebook, YouTube, and X face hefty fines if they fail to comply. Officials say the measure is encouraging, though some young users have found ways to bypass the restrictions. More on these stories at townhall.com.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
We are delighted to welcome to our Zoom Newsmaker line right now our very good friend, a leading legal expert in the country, Hans von Spakovsky. Good morning, Hans.
Good morning, Michael. How are you?
Hi, it's so great to see you again. You know, you have such a fascinating personal story. Hans von Spakovsky. What a great name. And it really is. Your father was from Russia. He was what they call what a white emigre. After the Bolshevik Revolution, he left Russia and lived in Yugoslavia for a while, where he met your mother, who's German, and then they emigrated to the United States. I guess, was it before or after World War II they came to the United States?
Well, they came in 1951, and they actually met in a refugee camp. My mother, unfortunately, experienced Nazism. My father actually was part of the resistance movement in Yugoslavia against the Nazis. But as you know, he fled communism from Russia. But then what started happening in Yugoslavia when the war ended? Tito and the communists started taking over Yugoslavia. So he had to flee again. And we are very happy as a family that he and my mother were able to immigrate in 1951. He actually, in the late 40s, he was afraid that the communists, the Soviet Union, would take over the rest of Europe. They were sponsoring communist parties and communist movements throughout Western Europe. And he was afraid that they would take over, that the Iron Curtain would move west. And he wanted to be where he knew his family would be safe. And that was, of course, the United States of America.
And so in 1951, your mother and father, your father Anatol von Spakovsky, ended up in Huntsville, Alabama, which is just a few miles south of us here in Nashville. We love Huntsville.
That's right.
And so did he work in the space program at all? What did your dad do?
No, he was a professor, so he was not in that. But because my mother's German, we got to know, or she got to know, my father did too, many of the German scientists who moved to Huntsville, including Werner von Braun, to start working on our space program. They built the Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, which helped develop the Saturn rocket and also had a lot of work to do on the shuttle.
So did you ever meet Werner von Braun?
I did. As a young child, I went to a party with my parents, and it was at his house.
No kidding. What a memory. And I noticed that you graduated from, those of us of a certain age will remember the name, the Virgil I. Grissom High School. Gus Grissom, who was an astronaut who died in that fire, 65 when the fire?
No, that's right. In fact, they built 3 new schools in Huntsville because there were so many people moving in for the space program and also for Redstone Arsenal, which is where our Army Missile Command is. And they named 3 of the schools after those 3 astronauts who died in that
So that would be
fire.
Virgil Grissom, Roger Chaffee, Ed White?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
I knew Ed's son, by the way, Ed White Jr. I worked, did some business.
Really?
With him. Yeah, a great
Wow.
guy. His story, he went to the Air Force Academy for a couple of years and then went to the University of Texas and then went on to be a telecom executive. And a really good guy, good family. So then you've got, I knew this, I'd forgotten about it, but you have a scientific mind. You went to MIT.
Right. Yeah, no, I was, I think, their token guy from Alabama who went to school there, and then went on to law school, actually in Nashville.
Of course. Vanderbilt.
I came back south. I was tired of the north, and I went to Vanderbilt for law school.
And then you've told great stories about your first, I think your first job out of law school was for kind of a legendary guy who worked out of Chattanooga, right?
That is right. His name was Harry Weil, and I think he had probably trained half the lawyers in that town, and he was like a character out of a Southern novel, and he could convince a jury that the sun rose in the west and set in the east. I mean, he was quite something.
And what I remember about this guy, I mean, you're fresh out of law school, and this guy, you said, would work on his legal briefs. He would take a bath and drink a bottle of bourbon, and on the phone dictate it or something like that. Do I have that right?
No, yeah. He would take. We always knew when he had read, for example, depositions, because the the pages would be wrinkled from the moisture in the air from him sitting in his big bathtub.
From there, you went to Atlanta and you got involved. You were the chairman of the Fulton County Republican Party. Wow, what a job that was.
It was, and I ended up, the reason I got into elections was I ended up on the county election board, the Fulton County election board. They had a five-member board made up of appointed citizens who ran elections in Atlanta. And that really got me interested in the election process and really changed my whole career.
Yeah, I think you looked at it and you said, oh, my goodness, this
Yes.
is how you're doing it? We got to fix this.
Yeah, in fact, I wrote, this is probably one of the first papers anybody ever published. I published a paper in the late 90s recommending that the state of Georgia put in, guess what? A voter ID law.
Boom. That's absolutely. And so you've worked at the Federal Election Commission and the
Right.
Department of Justice. That's a heck of a background in terms of being involved in sort of cutting edge litigation. You spent a significant amount of time at the Heritage Foundation, and now you're with Advancing American Freedom. And
Right.
one of the things that we wanted to talk about today, and we'll just kind of get started here, but carry it over in our next segment. You are particularly concerned about the rise of anti-Semitism in the United
Right.
States. I mean, it's on the rise around the world. And just talk a little bit about why this is of particular interest to you, and what's the evidence of it rising? Because, I mean, I see it all the time, but from your perspective, what do you see?
I'll say this is a scourge. And look, my family's not Jewish, but my mother grew up in Nazi Germany. And as a child, she saw what was happening to the Jewish citizens of that country. And it was drummed into me from a small child that you have to be on guard to make sure that that kind of thing does not happen in the United States. And yet, in the last couple of years, we have seen, particularly in our universities, I mean, Columbia University probably being the worst example of this, anti-Semitism becoming explicit. We've had these protesters, many of them supporting Hamas, a designated terrorist group, harassing, threatening, intimidating Jewish students, Jewish professors. I never thought I would ever see that in the United States. And that has been a problem at all of the Ivy League schools. And the administrators there have not been doing what they need to do to prevent it, including expelling any students who engage in this kind of behavior. Unfortunately, that has also occurred at my undergraduate college, MIT.
Well, let's talk about
And
your undergraduate college and my undergraduate college, Harvard. Both have problems with this.
That's right.
We'll take a 3-minute break, Hans, and when we come back, let's talk about the remedies to this rise of anti-Semitism. Back with Hans von Spakovsky after this.
Hey folks, Al Green here for SatPhone. When you're on the go, you want to know you're connected. If it's a family vacation or an off-the-grid escape to a remote destination, having reliable communication helps you feel safe and secure. You can't afford to find yourself in a dead zone. That's why you need SatPhone. SatPhones are reliable, durable, and give you global coverage. If you can get outside, you can get in touch. It's that simple. Make calls from your SatPhone to any regular cell phone in the United States. The phones are $1,500 value, but you can get yours free. Just sign up for a 15-month plan, $94.95 a month. Get 150 minutes monthly that roll to the next month. Go 3 months without using them, that's fine. Yes, 3 months, 450 minutes, all yours. Visit SAT123.com or call 855-980-5830. SAT123.com, 855-980-5830. Get surety and security with your sat phone. Call now.
This past year has been one of the hardest in MyPillow's history. It's because of you that they're making it through. They want to thank you for your continued support by passing on some Christmas specials to our listeners. Get the Children's Bible Story Pillow 5-pack for $29.98. My Slippers with a free bottle of leather protectant spray for $39.98. Blankets, comforters, and duvets for as low as $25. And a blowout sale on the standard MyPillows for just $14.98. So go to mypillow.com or call 800-854-0504 and use promo code Godzilla to take advantage of these wholesale prices, including the standard size MyPillow, originally $49.98, now only $14.98. Queens $18.99, Kings only $1 more. We know MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty, but MyPillow has just announced that they are extending their 60-day money-back guarantee. That's right. Orders placed between now and December 25th will have their 60-day money-back guarantee extended through March 1st, 2026.
The Cats and Cosby Show.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories.
It's not that all Somalis are criminal. It's just that 90% of these crimes are being committed by Somali Americans. And if you came to this country and you took advantage of the Americans' generosity, you committed fraud, and you refused to assimilate, you know what? I got 4 words for you. Get the hell out.
Cats and Cosby, 5 Eastern, 4 Central on the John Fredericks Media Network.
The book needs to be thrown at these people.
1775 Coffee is giving away free starter kits. Try the dark or medium roast coffee with longevity blend, an infused blend with anti-aging calcium alpha-ketoglutarate, which has been clinically proven to reduce biological age. When you purchase the first 2 bags, you'll receive a free 1775 starter kit, including a third 16-ounce bag of coffee, a matte black tumbler, a frother, a gold scoop, or a reusable K-cup filter. Just order now at 1775coffee.com/Godzilla and claim your free 1775 starter kit while supplies last.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Legal expert Hans von Spakovsky, our good friend, is our guest. He's with the Advancing American Freedom. Hans, let's start with anti-Semitism at your alma mater, MIT, and my alma mater, Harvard. Surprisingly, I mean, when you went there, would you have ever imagined MIT would have been anti-Semitic?
No, not at all. In fact, there was a very large community of Jewish students there, and the idea that the kind of protests, threats, preventing of students from going to class, all of which occurred at MIT, it didn't happen, and I couldn't imagine something like that happening. And you know, it's so bad that it eventually, thank goodness, forced out the president of the university because of her failure to do anything about it.
Yeah, and at Harvard, there were a number of kind of Hamas demonstrators who were literally physically harassing Jewish students in what's called the Yard. That's the origin of the college, where when you're a freshman, all the freshmen live in dorms in the Yard, and it's kind of idyllic. And I mean, it was shocking to see. And the president at that time, Claudine Gay, did nothing about it, not a thing. For other reasons, she was fired. And now Alan Garber, who graduated, I guess, a year before me at Harvard as a president, he's Jewish, and he doesn't seem to be doing much of anything either to stop anti-Semitism.
Yeah, that's a real problem. And, you know, I sometimes have people say to me, well, people have a First Amendment right to speak. Well, a First Amendment right to speak does not extend to harassing or threatening other students. It does not extend to preventing people from being able to go to class. It does not mean that you have a right to be a professor at Harvard or MIT if you're preaching that kind of hate. It's no different from the fact that neither of those schools would ever tolerate having a member of the Ku Klux Klan as a professor there teaching. And the same thing should apply to anyone who is engaging in teaching hate against any religious group, not just Jews, or any race. And yet they have been tolerating that and most importantly, not expelling any students who engage in that kind of behavior. That is the key to this. One, not allowing professors who engage in this kind of behavior from remaining at the universities, and not allowing students who engage in this kind of behavior from remaining at the schools. They need to all be expelled.
What are the legal remedies available now to the Department of Justice and other private citizens who see these acts of anti-Semitism, particularly at college campuses?
Well, remember the Civil Rights Act and other education acts passed by Congress, federal laws, affect private universities when they receive federal funding. And those laws say that you cannot engage in or allow any kind of discrimination to occur at your universities based on a whole series of reasons, including religion. And that is what led to the Trump administration, as you know. As soon as they came in, they started filing lawsuits against many of these universities, including Columbia and Harvard, for their misbehavior towards Jewish students at those schools. And those universities, as you know, have pretty much caved and agreed to extensive settlements in which they put in the kind of procedures needed to protect Jewish and other students. And, you know, the biggest threat that the administration was able to effectively use was a cutoff of federal funding. Of course, Michael, I'm sure you and I both have the same view of, you know, Harvard, what's its endowment?
Yeah,
like 70 or 80 billion dollars.
Billions
Why do they
and
get
billions.
a single penny of federal money?
It's crazy. You know, it
is.
And those universities, it's very sad, I think, for somebody who's attended an elite university and who enjoyed the experience there and liked the intellectual curiosity and openness and freedom that was experienced, you know, when we were there. And to go in now, it's like you're going into the Politburo. There's things you can't say. It's just maddening.
No, that's very true. Look, I've been happily married for many years, and where did I meet my wife? At MIT. But I have to tell you, I would not recommend to any current college students, high school students who are looking for college, I wouldn't recommend that they go to MIT. I wouldn't recommend they go to Harvard or Columbia or, frankly, any of the Ivy Leagues because of the sickening poison and ideology that has infected those schools and infected their teaching.
I think I know a lot of parents who have sent their kids off to, you know, Harvard or Columbia or, you know, one of these schools. And when the kid, and, you know, you're 18 and you're very impressionable. I mean, you may be very intelligent, but you're very oriented to peer pressure, et cetera. And the kids come back and the parents don't recognize what's happened to the kids. Right. You can lose your kids if you send them to an Ivy League school or MIT or one of those elite institutions today.
Look, I agree with that. And not only that, but they're not... Why would you pay enormous amounts of monies to have your kids basically sent to a socialist training camp? I mean, because that's essentially what they are. But by the way, Michael, if anybody doubts that, another good friend of ours, Christian Adams, who you know, and I, you know, we wrote a series about a year ago in which we looked at the curriculums of the top 10 law schools in the country, most of them Ivy League.
Oh, yeah.
And you would not believe what is being taught at those law schools. They all have become basically training camps to turn the law students into social justice warriors. And that's what's going on in the law schools is reflected also in the undergraduate curriculums.
Yeah, and the law schools are a real problem because what's happening is they're creating these legal warrior types that are going out there and manipulating the law to undermine the rule of law, basically.
Yeah, and many of them, unfortunately, have now become federal judges.
Yeah.
Particularly appointed by the Biden administration, which is one of the reasons the Trump administration has had so many problems in the courts, because you have these far left radical judges for whom ideology trumps the rule of law and the Constitution. And we keep getting bad decisions from these rogue judges that are not in accordance with the law.
There's one federal district court judge in D.C. who just became an American citizen about 5 years ago. I forget his name. He came from Canada. He's still a dual citizen of Canada and the United States. And I'm thinking, how can you be a dual citizen and have divided loyalties with a country? I don't know. They're not really aligned with us. I don't know. Mark Carney was over there bending the knee to Chairman Xi in Canada, in China yesterday. How can you have that as a federal judge? How can a federal judge be a dual citizen?
Look, I agree with that. Unfortunately, a lot of people probably don't realize that there's nothing in American law and federal law that prohibits people from being dual citizens. I actually think that's something that Congress should change, because I don't believe you can be a dual citizen. Your loyalty as an American citizen is supposed to be to this country, to our Constitution. And I think if you have divided loyalties, you really can't be a good citizen.
So my heritage, as you know, Michael Patrick Leahy, is Irish. And as a kid, I think I visited Ireland back in the 70s. And I said, what a great country. And people thought, well, maybe you ought to be a dual citizen. People suggested that. And there's something I didn't like about it. Well, now in 2026, you could, I mean, if you were a dual citizen of pretty much any country in the United States, you've got divided loyalties. I'm all in favor of getting rid of dual citizenship, not just for federal judges, but for anybody. I think that'd be a tough hill to climb, but one that perhaps we ought to consider.
No, I completely agree with that.
Well, Hans von Spakovsky, it is always a delight to have you on the program. A keen legal mind, one of the leading experts on election law in the country. It's just a great pleasure to have you, and we appreciate it. Come on again. We always love having you.
I'm happy to do it anytime. Thanks for inviting me on.
All right. Hans von Spakovsky with Advancing American Freedom. Thanks for joining us, Hans.
Sure thing. Bye-bye.
All right. Boy, that's always fun. Boy, Hans can tell some great stories about his time practicing law. And that story about the guy in Chattanooga, the great attorney who would write his briefs while he was in the bathtub drinking a bunch of shots of bourbon. Great stories. All right, when we come back, we're going to turn our attention to what's going on in Minnesota. I know, we got to do it. And then in hour 3, we'll be joined by Josh Tifo of the Turning Point USA. Catch up with what's going on with Turning Point USA, and we'll have a major announcement back after this.
Get in. We're stealing homes. We're not like those other home criminals that steal your stuff. We steal your hard-earned home equity. We find your property online from the public record. Got it. Create a deed transfer that makes us the homeowners. Got it. And borrow tons of cash against your equity, and you won't know till the foreclosure notice hits months later.
Just go to HometitleLock.com/Godzilla. Protect yourself.
Now more than ever, it's imperative to support companies that share our conservative values. That's why I can't be more excited to tell you that I've switched my family to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you shift your support away from the leftist, woke, progressive agendas of Big Mobile. Patriot Mobile's wireless service works perfectly and seamlessly as you go about your lives with exceptional nationwide coverage that uses the same towers the main carriers use. Patriot Mobile donates a portion of every dollar earned to causes you care about, to organizations that fight for religious freedom, First and Second Amendments, sanctity of life, and the needs of veterans and first responders. Patriot Mobile has plans to fit any budget, along with great discounts for our veterans and first responder heroes, as well as multi-line users. Switching is easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Godzilla or call their U.S.-based customer service team, 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-728-7468. Use offer code Godzilla for free activation.
Ponder this. Most of us in America have more than we need to sustain ourselves, like a roof over our heads, food to eat, and clothes to wear, and much more. The one thing we seem to be lacking every day is more time. There is never enough time in our day, or in a night for that matter. That being said, we try to create more time each day by rushing around to perhaps buy a little more time. We rush from one event to another. We double or even triple task to save time. We drive fast cars to get to our fast food restaurants. Our days are full with little time left for family, friends, and God. To better manage your pace, take a minute each morning to get on your knees and let the Lord know that you are giving Him all your time today. Sincerely ask Him to give you clear direction on what He wants you to accomplish each day. The Lord will make sure you have plenty of time for His will to be done without rushing around. Listen to the Lord to manage your time each day. I'm Susie Kelly, and I am passionately Catholic.
For years, the Europeans have underestimated President Trump time after time. But at every turn, he's been right. On energy, on NATO, on foreign free riding. It's time they pay up. That's why he's cracking down on foreign countries that don't pay their fair share for American medicines. Renegotiating trade deals for the prescription drugs we invent. President Trump is ending the foreign freeloading, making Europe pay their fair share.
Paid for by Americans for Limited Government.
I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of Glockstore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported the Second Amendment rights of free men and women to protect themselves and their families with firearms. We offer the very best in both selection and prices on Glock handguns, custom Glocks, Glock magazines, and high-performance shooting accessories at Glockstore.com. We also have the finest retail showroom and our Shoot 270 shoot rooms right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Come visit us at Glockstore.com, and you'll be glad you did.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
My fellow Americans, I was this close, very close, to buying from the lumber yards. These are sick people. But I turned my head at the last second, and I saw a big, beautiful ad for D.T. McCall's. These are highly respected people. If I had not turned my head at the last second, I would have been ripped off at some lumber yard for $200 in hidden charges, and D.T. McCall & Sons are never going to do that. They'd never do that to you. These are great people. I've known them for a long time. They have great deals, and I just have to say, nobody knows deals like I do. D.T. McCall & Sons has locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, and they have been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years. These are tremendous people. D.T. McCall & Sons. Check out one of their stores today.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. We are broadcasting live from our studios in Nashville, Tennessee. Our phone number, if you want to call in, is 615-814-2848, 615-814-2848. Tell our intrepid producer, Patrick, three things You just need 3 words. Number 1, your name. Number 2, your state of residence. Number 3, your topic. 615-814-2848. 615-814-2848. And, by the way, if you want to watch us live and in living color, there's a way to do that. And the way you do it is you go to our X feed, Michael P. Leahy. You can also text me there. And either if you follow me, you can send me a private message or a public message, either way. I often look at them and sometimes even talk about them on the air. And you can watch us on Roku TV, Fire Stick TV, Apple TV, and YouTube. How about that? Pretty good. So 615-814-2848. Okay, I want to take a look at this. We've been talking about Trump's FAFO testosterone, right? You see that in the Don Road Doctrine, and you see in all this very aggressive tariffs on foreign competitors that aren't playing fair, and efforts to bring back manufacturing and production to the United States of America. Well, we have an example thereof. You've heard of rare earth minerals. One of them is apparently called graphite. This particular story kind of caught my attention because of where it's located. I'll play the clip first, and then I'll tell you about this place that's located in upstate New York. Let's play this clip right now. Clip number 6.
U.S. companies are ramping up graphite mine production to fulfill a booming demand for batteries and rely less on China for rare earth magnets. Fox Business's Jeff Flock is live from a mine in Gouverneur, New York this morning with more on this push for graphite. Jeff.
Talk about bringing industry back to the U.S., Maria, bringing mining back to the U.S. You are looking right now at the processing of the first graphite mined in the U.S. since the 1950s. Pretty amazing when it comes to it. Graphite, I don't know if you know much about graphite. It's in rock, little flecks of it in rock, so it has to be harvested out. This is a rock that they've mined. I want to show you the process here. I also want to talk to the CEO. You're seeing on the other side of the screen this mine deposit that they found. This is a zinc mine, and I've got the CEO of Titan Mining, Rita Adriana. You have a zinc mine here. You stumbled upon graphite, yes?
Absolutely. So we have a 120,000 acre mineral rights package. We went looking for zinc and we found graphite.
And now graphite is huge. This is the processing of it. What am I looking at right here, if I can see?
So what you're looking at here is the mined rock that we get from the ground. We take that and we concentrate that up to very high levels of graphite. So the flotation circuit that you're seeing here is about 95 to 99% graphite.
So you get almost all graphite. The other thing about this, Maria, is that we get most, put the number up, it almost amazed me. All of our graphite now is imported. Most of it comes from China, 42%.
Absolutely, and that's why it's a very unique proposition being a domestic producer because it's a national security issue.
I was going to say, Department of War now mandates that we're going to have to get this stuff from here.
Yes, so under the NDAA, there are severe restrictions on procurement. And again, that's why we play a very crucial role.
This will be the first mine to go online in terms of selling graphite here in the U.S., Maria. China can turn it on and off.
Okay, so let me tell you, why did this catch my attention? It's kind of funny because it's in Gouverneur, New York, Gouverneur, Gouverneur, New York. It is way upstate New York. I know Gouverneur, New York. It's about a little village of 6,000 people. It's in St. Lawrence County. It's about, maybe 20 miles south of the St. Lawrence River. And so, on the other side, you have Ontario/Quebec on the other side of that river. I grew up there, and I remember, so the far north upstate New York, these counties that border Quebec and Canada, You've got Clinton County, which is where I spent much of my early childhood. Plattsburgh, right there on Lake Champlain. Dannemora, 14 miles west up a mountain where the prison is. You know, they had that escape at Dannemora there in 2015, 2016. And they had Ben Stiller do a documentary movie about it. And I remember as a kid, we would travel Christmas time in the middle of the winter from Plattsburgh, New York, or Dannemora, New York. We were going down towards the Oswego, New York area on Lake Ontario, which is kind of between Rochester and Syracuse. I can tell you this. This was before they had, the big interstates going on. And we would drive in our, old station wagon, 4 kids, my parents, and we would go through these kind of milk run state highways. And the deal was, you had to go through all of these little towns, and there was big snow, and it was sort of bleak. The bleakest of all the towns was Gouverneur, New York. I'm telling you, there was not much there. Gouverneur, New York, named after, wait for it, an early leader of the American Republic, Gouverneur Morris, who was very significant as a landowner, and I think he signed the Declaration of Independence, maybe the Constitution, but very, very, kind of not quite at the top 6 founding father, but way up there. I bring that up because, and that district, by the way, congressional district there, is represented by Elise Stefanik. So interesting, but a good story. It's a classic story now of kind of what Trump is doing. Now, related to this is the problems that we're having with Canada since it's gone crazy, and they elected this quasi-communist lefty Mark Carney as prime minister. We'll get into the relationship between Canada and Greenland here in a second. But so Carney was off literally bending the knee in Beijing, China, yesterday, announcing a new world order.
We're heartened by the leadership of President Xi Jinping and the speed with which our relationship has progressed in recent months. This sets the stage for these important discussions on a wide range of issues where we can be strategic partners, from energy to agriculture, to people-to-people ties, to multilateralism, to issues on security. And I believe the progress that we have made in the partnership sets us up well for the new world order.
Boom, mic drop. And then if you look at that video, sitting next to him, they have like 13 provinces. They call states, they call provinces in Canada. And the head of the province, they don't call him a governor, like we call it, they call him premier. Well, sitting next to him was the premier of Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan is, of course, a province on the western part, English speaking. And a lot of American Western movies now are filmed in Saskatchewan and Alberta. If you look at the 13 provinces of Canada, for the most part, they're, Kamala Harris friendly. They hate Donald Trump, 70% of them do. But Alberta and Saskatchewan kind of lean towards liberty because they're, bigger centers of agriculture and of energy and oil production. The guy, the premier of Saskatchewan, was sitting next to him, and you should have seen him grimace when Carney said New World Order. Why did I bring that up? Well, I'll tell you why. Because right now, and we have a breaking story on this, it's interesting. Donald Trump wants to take over Greenland because it's in the Western Hemisphere. And 58,000 people, strategically important because Russia and China, who Carney's talking to, could if they're going to invade the United States, the way to do it these days would be through the Arctic. Here's the story just broke at Washington Times. Trump threatens to impose tariffs on countries opposing his plan to take Greenland. President Trump is threatening to impose tariffs on a country. This is by Jeff Murdoch, very good reporter at the Washington Times. To impose tariffs on countries such as Denmark that aren't on board with his plan for the U.S. to annex, not just take over Greenland. At a White House event Friday, this morning, to talk about rural health care, Mr. Trump began discussing his tariff policies when he warned that he could use tariffs to exert economic pressure in his bid to take control of Greenland. Quote, I may do that for Greenland too, Mr. Trump said of the tariffs. I may put a tariff on countries if they don't go along with Greenland because we need Greenland for national security. We do. It's obvious. And look, 58,000 Greenlanders, some of them don't want to, be part of the United States. I got one word for them. Tough. It's Don Road Doctrine time, baby. And we're going to get it. All right. Back with more details on the health care plan that Trump has introduced and the ACLU kind of going crazy over trannies in sports. Back after this.
These illegal skill games, they keep popping up. Fights break out. They're illegal. We got drugs. We got gangs. They're all over the place. How do you get illegal slot machines in convenience stores when Governor Youngkin, you vetoed it and no referendum, nobody passed it? How are they still here?
At the end of the day, it is local Commonwealth's attorneys that have to bring the cases against the establishments and to get them out. And so, yes, I vetoed bills. The high court has said that they can't be there. And on top of that, our attorney general has done a full investigation. And we go back to our Commonwealth's attorneys in so many jurisdictions refuse to enforce the law. That's the bottom line. They protect the criminals at the expense of the victims. And that's why, again, elections matter. We have got to elect prosecutors who will put people in jail.
This ad paid for by Churchill Downs.
The math is simple. Every dollar we waste on unnecessary federal supervision is a dollar we can't use to fight violent crime. The Safer Supervision Act cuts bureaucratic waste and frees up law enforcement resources to protect families from serious threats. Law enforcement officers across the country and Republicans in Congress agree this is a smarter way to improve public safety. Stop the waste, protect our communities, fix federal supervision. Visit safersupervision.com to help. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
The Cats and Cosby Show.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories.
It's not that all Somalis are criminal. It's just that 90% of these crimes are being committed by Somali Americans. And if you came to this country and you took advantage of the Americans' generosity, you committed fraud, and you refused to assimilate, you know what? I got 4 words for you. Get the hell out.
Cats and Cosby, 5 Eastern, 4 Central on the John Fredericks Media Network.
The book needs to be thrown at these people.
This is Crom Carmichael, CEO of Solti. We got a wonderful email from one of our customers up east named Joe, and here's what he had to say. I started taking Solti almost out of desperation with little hope because I was resigned to the futility that although I was up to taking 2 statins a day, high cholesterol was something I just had to learn to live with. In fact, when I turned 60, after taking a stress cardio test, my doctor called me on a Saturday, which of course is never a good sign, and told me that I was clogged more than 95% of the people my age. I had an angioplasty and a stent procedure done at that time. Today, my stubborn triglycerides are only 1/3 of what they had been before starting taking Solti. My prescription statin dosage has shrunk from 60 milligrams to only 10 milligrams a day. My primary care doctor that I have had for many years still can't believe the results, and neither can I. Thank you, Solti, for providing such a wonderful product. And folks, I want to invite you to take care of your heart also by going to GodzillaHeart.com. That's GodzillaHeart.com. Use the code Godzilla at checkout, and you'll get a 50% discount on your initial shipment. Thanks so much.
Hey there, it's Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of GlockStore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported our Second Amendment rights with GlockStore.com, the world's #1 source for Glock handguns, parts, and accessories. I also support accurate, unbiased journalism like The Michael Patrick Leahy Show. His team broke the Kilmar Abrego Garcia traffic stop and was the first to obtain that video. Independent journalism at its finest. Visit us at GlockStore.com, listen to Michael Patrick Leahy, and make America great again.
This is State Senator Mark Pouty. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pouty.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pouty, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Hey, big guest coming up in hour 3 of the program, Josh Tifo. I think that's how we pronounce it. Thifault, a big executive with Turning Point USA. Josh is, of course, knows Charlie Kirk. We'll talk a lot about Charlie Kirk, and we'll have a big announcement about the National Constitution Bee and Turning Point USA in hour 3. Well, right now I want to talk a little bit about correcting a problem. What is the problem? The problem is Obamacare, an absolute disaster of American health care. And Obamacare, passed into law in 2010. They contrived a whole bunch of special tricks to make it pass. No Republicans voted for it. And then in 2012, in a bizarre ruling by the Supreme Court, 5-4, Justice Roberts changed his vote at the last minute and decided that, Obamacare, that it was a tax in one instance, wasn't a tax in another instance, and so it became the law of the land. But it's an utter disaster. Remember, if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor, Obama said. Lie. Total lie. Now, finally, how many years later? 15, 16 years later? The Republicans finally have an alternative to Obamacare. Been a while. Here's Donald Trump talking about that alternative. Clip 3.
Today, I'm thrilled to announce my plan to lower health care prices for all Americans and truly make health care affordable again. We're doing things that nobody's ever been able to do. We're calling it the Great Health Care Plan. Instead of putting the needs of big corporations and special interests first, our plan finally puts you first and puts more money in your pocket. The government is going to pay the money directly to you. It goes to you, and then you take the money and buy your own health care. Nobody's ever heard of that before, and that's the way it is. The big insurance companies lose, and the people of our country win. This proposal locks in the massive discounts on prescription drugs that my administration is achieving through our most favored nation drug pricing agreement. Now, when you hear about that, for 40 years they've been trying to do it, but they never were able to do it. No other president was able to do it. I got every other country to approve it by the use of tariffs and other things. They all approved it. Nobody else got it. No other president got it. And for the most part, they didn't even try because they felt it was impossible. It'll bring down drug prices 80, 90%, in some cases, just numbers that nobody's ever heard of before. Your prescription drugs will come way, way down. And under this policy, the prices of many drugs will be slashed by 300, 400, and even 500% starting this month at the TrumpRx.gov. So instead of Americans paying the highest drug prices in the world, which we have for decades, we will now be paying the lowest cost paid by any other nation. So any other nation that's paying the lowest cost, that's what we're going to pay, and the American people will get the savings. So I have to reiterate, the lowest price in the world is what you're going to pay. Before, you were paying the highest price in the world by far, and the politicians did nothing about it. So I'm asking Congress to complete the work that we've started. Next, my plan would reduce your insurance premiums by stopping government payoffs to big insurance companies and sending that money directly to the people. Obamacare was designed to make insurance companies rich. I call it the Unaffordable Care Act, with billions of dollars in taxpayer subsidies that helped their stock prices skyrocket over 1,700% as you paid more money for health care every single year, more and more. The premiums went higher and higher. I want to end this flagrant scam and put extra money straight into the healthcare savings account in your name, and you go out and buy your own healthcare, and you'll make a great deal. You get better healthcare for less money. That way you can choose the care that is right for your family. To further reduce insurance premiums, my plan ends the giant kickbacks to insurance brokers and corporate middlemen that only drive up the costs, and that's what they're intended to do, drive up the cost. But we're driving down the cost.
So that's President Trump. That's a common sense approach. It is. This should have been the way, half a century ago, healthcare was dealt with in the United States. But Obamacare has totally ruined the market for healthcare. One of the things that is the most irritating, you go to a doctor and you need a procedure, they do the procedure. A month later, they tell you how much you have to pay, how much your insurance. It's just crazy. You need pricing up front. And I think the other part about this proposed bill, if the Republicans can, get the whip going and get all Republicans in line, it's going to bring down ultimately the cost of health care, because right now it's a very inefficient system. You need to know how much it's going to cost up front, and you need to not have a middleman telling you what you can and cannot do. All right, there you go. Hey, up next, Josh Tifo, who's a senior executive at Turning Point USA, knew the great Charlie Kirk very well. We're going to catch up with him, and we'll have a major announcement about Turning Point USA and the National Constitution Bee during that hour. Back with Josh Tifo after this. The website, TennesseeStar.com. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
Real Advice with Wendy Bell.
Democrats, politicians who know better. It is because of them that some woman got shot and killed. She knew better. Trying to run over, hurt, or murder a federal agent who, by the way, just a few weeks ago, got 33 300 feet by another moron. What do you think is going to happen?
Wendy Bell, weeknights at 6 on the John Fredericks Media Network.
Trump 2.0 is in full effect. How do you keep up with all the action? I'll tell you. TrumpNationNews.com is your inside source for the inside scoop. Manufacturing, jobs, deportations, and the nation's rejuvenation. The first 100 days and beyond. All the news you need and no liberal gibberish. It's the perfect way to start your day. Sign up for the TNN newsletter. Do it today. TrumpNationNews.com. TrumpNationNews.com. Part of the John Fredericks Media Network. The Cats and Cosby Show.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories.
It's not that all Somalis are criminal. It's just that 90% of these crimes are being committed by Somali Americans. And if you came to this country and you took advantage of the Americans' generosity, you committed fraud, and you refused to assimilate, you know what? I got 4 words for you. Get the hell out.
Cats and Cosby, 5 Eastern, 4 Central on the John Fredericks Media Network.
The book needs to be thrown at these people.
John Fredericks loves his radio and TV audience, but did you know how to follow the Godzilla of Truth wherever you go? Download the John Fredericks Radio Show app to listen live nationwide. For the daily chit-chat, Trucking the Truth, download the Getter app and join the morning fun on Getter Live from 6 to 10 a.m.
WENO Nashville, KQPN West Memphis. Get your winning plays and parlays from Godzilla Wins, Saturdays at 7 a.m. or click GodzillaWins.com.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says immigration and customs enforcement agents continue to do their job in Minneapolis despite the ongoing demonstrations.
Our ICE agents are following the law and running their operations according to training. Last night what we saw was 3 individuals weaponize shovels and brooms and attack an ICE officer that had to defend himself.
That attack this week prompting President Trump to threaten that he might invoke the Insurrection Act. That would mean deploying troops to quell the persistent demonstrations. Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado says that she presented her Nobel Peace Prize medal to President Trump when they met yesterday at the White House.
I presented the President of the United States the medal of the Nobel Peace Prize.
President Trump says there's no reason the health care issue should be in favor of Democrats when it comes to the midterm elections. In fact, in his remarks today, the president said his administration is providing money to boost health care, especially in rural America.
I'm all about the rural community. We won the rural communities by numbers that nobody's ever won them before, and we're taking care of those great people.
And the president pushing for bipartisan support for the GOP proposal to replace expanded Affordable Care Act, that's Obamacare, premium subsidies with individual health savings accounts. Verizon apologizing for the massive outage it impacted more than 1.5 million customers this week.
The nationwide Wednesday outage knocked phones offline and interfered with some 911 calls. Federal and local officials are pointing to a suspected server failure in New Jersey as the company definitively ruled out a cyber attack. The highest reported problem spots were in New York City, Atlanta, Charlotte, North Carolina, Houston, and Brooklyn, New York. Verizon will offer customers impacted by the 7-hour outage a $20 credit.
That's Bill Alexander. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Have you noticed losing weight is harder than it used to be? You're eating better and exercising, but the scale barely moves? The real problem isn't willpower, it's metabolic dysfunction. And standard dieting just makes it worse. PhD Weight Loss has helped thousands fix the root cause of stubborn weight. Take their free metabolic assessment at fixmyweightloss.com. Fixmyweightloss.com. It's quick, personalized, and shows why your body is resisting weight loss so you know exactly what to fix. Visit fixmyweightloss.com. That's fixmyweightloss.com.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, E-T-H-O-S, ethos.com/Mike.
Here's Greg Clugston now with a midday Wall Street business report.
The U.S. and Taiwan have signed a trade deal involving $250 billion in new investments by Taiwan's semiconductor and tech companies in the U.S. In exchange, the Trump administration will cut tariffs on Taiwanese goods. Meanwhile, Canada has agreed to cut its 100% tariff on Chinese electric cars in return for lower tariffs on Canadian farm products. Prime Minister Mark Carney made the announcement after 2 days of meetings with Chinese leaders. A survey by the American Chamber of Commerce in China has found that U.S. businesses are more concerned about the country's slowing economy than trade friction. 64% of the companies surveyed view slowing growth as their top worry, while 58% cited U.S.-China trade tensions as a key challenge. I'm Greg Clugston.
You'll find breaking news and analysis at townhall.com. A Florida deputy has captured a runaway, but it's no ordinary runaway.
The officer responded to a farm near St. Augustine following reports of a big bird. The officer tried to secure the emu, but the flightless bird kicked several times using its large talons and then fled. After a short chase, the officer cornered the emu, secured it with a makeshift lasso, then cuffed its legs together to render those talons useless. That emu was taken back to its owners.
That is Jason Walker reporting. A memorial service for former NASCAR driver Greg Biffle and his family, who died in a plane crash last month, is underway in Charlotte's Bojangles Coliseum. Hundreds of fans, friends, and former co-workers attended the service as it got underway today. It was being live streamed on NASCAR platforms. You'll find more of these stories at townhall.com. From Washington.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. We are delighted to welcome in studio Josh Tifo with Turning Point USA. Been with Turning Point from the beginning, one of Charlie Kirk's best friends. Josh, thanks so much for joining us.
Well, I'm thrilled to be here. You have a tremendous reputation here in the state, and I love the Tennessee Star, and I love how aggressive you are about taking on the fights the grassroots cares about. And you don't care who comes against you. You do what you know is right. So I'm a big fan of you guys.
We seek the truth, basically.
I mean, that's our job.
And we report it. So, but I appreciate that very much. Okay, so you're from Indiana.
From Indiana. So I was born in Indianapolis, raised in Fishers, just north of Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And after that, went to Cedarville University in Ohio.
But let's go back to Indiana just for a moment.
Yeah.
You played 4 sports in college?
I did. In high school, yeah. I played tennis, golf, basketball, and baseball. I was obsessed with baseball most of my life. But
what position?
So I was a pitcher.
No kidding.
Yeah, and I loved it so much that I tore my shoulder. So
did you have much of a curveball?
I didn't have an amazing curveball,
yeah,
but I had a pretty rock-solid changeup that kind of just fell off the table. So if you got a great fastball and a great changeup, you can do a lot with that.
Yeah. I love if you come from a smaller town, you got to play all sports. Right?
Oh, that's how it is.
Absolutely. So you went. By the way, you rooting for Indiana University in the?
I am, and I think that the story of discipline that you've seen there, mostly from the head coach and from the quarterback, and how that bled into the culture so quickly, it's inspirational, and it shows that when you have somebody in leadership, whether it be in sports or business or politics, who just takes extreme ownership over the situation, how oftentimes people are very ready to follow a leader like that.
Yeah, Curt Cignetti, boy, you watch the clips of him talking about focus and intentionality, and yeah, we do 6 seconds. We do it every 6 seconds. We do a play, and we do it perfectly, and then we do it again and again and again.
My favorite Mendoza story is that he requested the names of all of the Heisman Trophy winners who were going to be at the Heisman presentation he was going to, so that he could memorize their faces and he could memorize their backstories so he could build a relationship with them quickly, which reminded me of one of the secret things, most people don't know this, that led to the formation of Turning Point as we know it. So Charlie Kirk had just started Turning Point in his garage outside of Chicago in 2012. And his plan was he was going to go to the RNC in Tampa and meet some people to provide seed funding. He didn't have a plan. He thought it was like a sports event. You could just show up and scalp tickets off the street. He shows up and quickly realizes you can't just do that. So he can't attend most of the convention and finally finds a friend who's willing to give him his half-day pass when he's done using it. So he basically has an hour or two inside the convention. So to prepare for this hour or two where he's going to try to find somebody to fund this crazy idea he has, he memorized the faces and names of every GOP megadonor in the entire country in 2012. And then when he met Foster Freeze, the Wyoming billionaire, in a stairwell, he recognized him and immediately gave him the pitch on how he was building Turning Point USA. He had just graduated high school. He wanted to build some type of 365, 24/7 activism model to win over kids every day instead of just showing up for elections. And because of that outlandish level of discipline and preparation, when he walked by Foster Freeze, he knew who he was.
And he made the pitch.
And he made the pitch, and Foster sent a check, and the rest is history, praise God. But when I heard that story about Mendoza, it made me think of Charlie.
That is audacious and effective. I'd never heard that story before. Now, but Bill Montgomery was involved in it a little bit.
He was, yes. So Bill was a Tea Party activist in Illinois, and we love Bill. He passed away 5-6 years ago. We miss him. He heard Charlie speak at Tea Party meetings across Illinois when he was in high school. And Bill was one of the folks who convinced Charlie to actually step out and create an organization. So most of the people in his life thought he was crazy, told him not to do it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, the kid's in high school, right?
So he's the...
But he was Charlie Kirk.
He's the valedictorian, captain of the high school football team.
By the way, I just saw a clip of him. He was a quarterback, wasn't he?
He was a quarterback,
He could sling it. I saw some clips just the other day.
And he was a great basketball player. So back in the early days, so rewind back to 2015. So we have some event with students or some fundraising dinner. I would find, if we had a little bit of free time in between when we landed and when we had our event, I would find a gym that had a basketball court in whatever city we were in. And Charlie and I would go and take out all of our angst and stress on whatever poor locals in that city were playing pickup basketball.
Well, Charlie's what, 6'5"?
6'5". He was so aggressive.
Yeah.
And he had a great three-point shot, an elite three-point shot. And we saw this in a lot of the viral footage that came out after he was assassinated, some of the high school footage that was unearthed. Yeah, he had a great three-point shot. He could have been a rock-solid, high-level 3-and-D wing.
But here's the thing. Think about it. The kid, he gets out of high school, right? A superstar in high school. And instead of going to college, he meets with Bill. I guess he met Bill Montgomery first. Who did he meet first, Bill or Foster?
So Bill, and then he met Foster a little bit after that.
A little bit after that.
Another man who was very instrumental in all of this was Mike Miller, who is one of the best custom jewelers in the world. He's actually still on our board. He's one of the Turning Point USA board members today. He's one of my best friends. Mike Miller was another one of those guys who really convinced him, stick this out, it's worth it. And Charlie, to his credit, he understood how great the need was. And one of the moments that really instigated Turning Point USA and took it from an idea to an organization was after the he had actually just founded it, and he was kind of considering whether or not he was going to continue it or maybe go to school after a year. One of his friends told him what was happening on campus at Ohio State University after the 2012 presidential election. And he called Charlie and he said, Charlie, the election was last week and the Obama people are still on campus. They're still talking to kids. And that's when the light went on in Charlie's mind. The left is funding 24/7, 365 attitude change, heart change operations. They're already starting to win the next election in mid-November of 2012, engaging these kids, talking to them about socialism, talking to them about abortion, talking to them about gay rights, talking to them about how we shouldn't be in Iraq, whatever their pitch would be at that moment to an 18, 19-year-old. And the right was just not showing up. And I had a unique picture of this because of my political past. So I was a sophomore at Cedarville University, 19 years old. And
in
Ohio. And a friend of mine approached me, and he worked with one of the big political organizations supporting Romney. I think they had huge focus on the family funding. And he said, "You're at that really conservative school, Cedarville, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Okay, so that debate," it was after the one debate Romney did really well in. He said, "After that debate, we have this huge surge in funding. We want to open up an activism center, kind of a base of operations to send activists around Ohio to knock doors, and also mostly a base to make hundreds of thousands of phone calls. Do you know a professor or a staff member at Cedarville who's conservative who can maybe head this up?" And I was 19 years old and very audacious and needed a job. So I said, "I'll do it. I'll figure it out." And he's like, "Okay, like I'll let you try to put it together. If not, recommend someone else." And I needed a job. And I was very conservative. So I just sat down and thought for a little bit. I thought, okay, how do I recruit a bunch of people to work? I'm going to go to the most popular athletes. I'm going to go to the people who run they're not called fraternities and sororities at Cedarville because of the rules, but they're basically fraternities. Yeah, they're basically fraternities and sororities. I think it's like brotherhoods and sisterhoods or whatever wording they use. Essentially the popular kids on campus, the people who run student government, but it was especially the athletes, the star athletes. And I said, "Hey, can you help advertise this for me?" And it worked insanely well. And I also set the price per hour for work slightly above what almost everyone was making on campus.
Smart.
And
because kids, I mean, when you're in college, you want to make as much money as you can.
Making $15 an hour instead of $12 an hour is a big deal.
Yeah.
So I set it at $15 an hour, and I then hired 1/10 of my university in 48 hours and created an employment crisis in the cafeteria and all these places. And I mean, the rest was history. And this organization was actually prepping a media package. They were going to say I was the kid who won Ohio and all this. Then we lost Ohio and lost the whole election, so none of that happened. But I learned an important lesson.
When we come back, we'll hear what that lesson was, and then we'll hear about how you first met Charlie Kirk. We're talking with Josh Tifo with Turning Point USA. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy. We'll be right back after this.
folks, John Fredericks here for Freedom Alliance. Veterans are still struggling with the wounds of war. They came home with injuries that changed them forever. The flag-burning troublemakers in our streets remind me how fortunate we are to have patriots who served and fought, sacrificed, and never complained. We need to support them through organizations like the Freedom Alliance. It's Military Appreciation Month and time to support those who serve. Freedom Alliance is caring for combat veterans and military families. Combat veterans fought in the worst, most dangerous places on earth. Freedom Alliance takes them to nature's most relaxing locations so they can heal. Freedom Alliance gives injured troops mortgage-free homes, new cars, and all-terrain wheelchairs. For wounded vets, there's nothing like the stability of your own home, the reinsurance of a reliable vehicle, or the independence of a wheelchair that navigates snow, ice, beach, pasture, or most any terrain. Let's fight for those who fought for us. Go to freedomalliance.org/Godzilla and make a monthly gift that will improve the life of a military hero. That's freedomalliance.org/Godzilla. Make a contribution today.
If you're like me, most moms find it difficult to prioritize self-care. Hi, it's Colleen, Program Director at the John Fredericks Media Network. With the demands of programming 13 radio stations, it's easy to forget about the things I should do for myself daily. And that's why I started with our company's Women's Challenge with Native Path Collagen Peptides. It's affordable and convenient care in just one scoop a day. There are so many incredible health benefits like bone and joint support, metabolism booster, and hair, skin, and nail improvement. I like to take a moment each day to prioritize myself and indulge in the health-boosting benefits of Native Path Collagen Peptides. I love mixing it up with all the different smoothie recipes, too. Learn more about Native Path Collagen Peptides and read 7 important reasons why you should be taking collagen peptides at getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Prioritize your self-care with Native Path Collagen Peptides. Try it risk-free for as low as $21 today and get free shipping at getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
Target.com. Target.com is an online e-commerce tire retailer. We are here to serve the American public with the best possible customer service, the best pricing, and we make it extremely easy. We have many name brands and a lot of low-cost tires. The price is right, and it's easy. You go online to Target.com, Tireget.com, Target.com. You go there, you put your zip code in, all the inventory displays right in front of you. You can call in for help if you want to. We'll help you get the tire that you need. But we will take the tires you buy and at no extra charge deliver them to the dealer right by your house where they will be installed at the market price. It's easy. The best price, the best service. Great people to deal with. Thank you for going to Target.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Josh Tifo in studio with us, an executive, early organizer with Turning Point USA. So, we're 2012 election. You helped organize Ohio for Romney. He lost. What happened next?
So to close my thought, we lost, but I also learned a very important lesson, which was there's a tremendous amount of appetite for conservative values on these campuses. I mean, to think that in 2012, when we thought Obama was just this untouchable figure in youth culture, we hired 1/10 of the entire university to work to beat Barack Obama. It gave me a little taste of what could be possible with youth organizing. I actually pushed a big national organization I was working with after that to do more youth outreach, and they just straight up shut me down, and they said, it's not worth it. Let's focus on older Americans.
Okay, now we're not going to name the organization.
We don't need to.
We don't need to embarrass them.
Yeah.
But what you've said is what those of us who were involved in the Tea Party movement way back when have experienced innumerable times. But you guys pushed through it.
We pushed through it. So I saw that and got frustrated and kind of focused less on politics. Very different reaction than Charlie, who simultaneously was founding Turning Point USA. I met Charlie at a Tea Party rally in 2014. It was the last political event I was supposed to go to for this job before I went back to Indiana to work with my father. And I had no plans of going into politics in the future.
Where was the rally?
It was in Columbus, Ohio. Very small.
Columbus, Ohio.
Columbus, Ohio Tea Party rally.
How many people were there?
Maybe 100, 120.
Was Tom Zawistowski there?
I'm not sure.
Tea Party guy from
I'm not
Columbus.
sure. I don't remember.
So he was there. So tell us that day.
So the keynote at this last political event I'm going to go to is this crazy kid named Charlie Kirk who founded Turning Point in his garage. He gives this unforgettable pitch that I'll never forget for the rest of my life about how we can make it cool to be a conservative, how the conservatives need to actually play in culture, and how the only hope for the future of our movement is to actually attempt to win over young people. And
so you're in the crowd. You're just in the crowd.
I'm just in the crowd.
And you see Charlie give that speech. How long was the speech?
Probably 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
And you're saying, this guy's got something.
I was blown away. And then we met immediately after the event. Obviously, I was wildly impressed.
So hold it. Did you go up and say, did you introduce, did you introduce yourself to him?
So I didn't have to, because after the speech, one of the guys who knew what I did in the whole Romney, Ohio operation went up and told him what I did. And I obviously was impressed with him. I just heard him give the speech. So this guy, Adam Josephic, old friend of mine, connected us, and we just crashed into each other. Charlie and I spoke, I don't know for how long. I mean, I had never met anybody who believed it was possible to win over young people with the conservative cause in a wide-scale, national, mainstream way before I met Charlie. And at the end of the conversation, he said, I don't know what you have planned, but you should drop everything and help me build this turning point thing. It's going to change the country.
So just a minute. Charlie Kirk tells you, you've just met him, drop everything, help build Turning Point.
He had no idea that he was asking me to leave my family business that I had been prepared to be involved in for 10 years. He blew up my whole family's plan.
So, okay, when he says this to you, how do you react?
I was intrigued. I didn't say yes right away. A lot of people don't know this part of the story. He texted me for a few weeks, pushing me to do it.
Like how? Like every day?
Like every few days.
Yeah.
He was very strategically.
He didn't wear you out. But he let you know you needed to think about this.
He knew that he wanted to just keep texting me until I said yes. And praise God I did. Prayed about it a lot. And just about everyone around me thought that I was completely nuts.
Did you tell who ran the family business? Your dad?
My dad, yeah.
When you go to your dad and say, Dad, you wanted me to take over your business and help in the business. I'm not going to do it.
Instead, I'm going to make almost no money for this. I just met this guy the other day. He started a nonprofit in his garage. He's going to pay me almost nothing. That's going to be my job out of college.
And what did your dad say?
I mean, my dad has been very supportive, and I'm very thankful for him. But everyone in my life at that point thought that I was, kind of nuts.
Did you give me the picture of your father's immediate reaction? What did you say specifically?
I told him that I was considering doing this, and to my dad's great credit, he obviously wanted me to take over the business and everything. He encouraged me to pray about it, and he encouraged me to do whatever God led me to do. So he didn't do what almost everyone in that whole situation would have done, which was demanded that I not do it. I know that he thought it was crazy, as did almost everyone else. And over the years, he's seen the way that God just used Turning Point, and obviously he's wildly thrilled with that. But this is just another example of what God can do with your life when you have the courage to do what seems crazy because you believe God's telling you to do it. I look at everything that's happened in the nation because of Turning Point. I look at all the people I've met. I look at the amazing life I have now. The best part of all of it was I met my wife, the beautiful Brenna Tifo, at a Turning Point event in 2017. So I met my wife out of all this.
There you go.
And I owe a lot to Charlie for walking up to me and saying, I don't know what you have planned, but you should drop everything and build this Turning Point.
How is the family business doing?
They're doing very well.
Good.
And I think my brother's going to take it over soon. So they're
good.
They're thriving. So
Worked out well.
Everybody won in the end.
Tell us about working with Charlie in the early days.
So in the early days, all the way up until the last few days of his life, he was maniacally intense. And I mean that as the highest compliment. Have you ever read the Elon Musk biography by Walter Isaacson?
Yes.
So he was the political version of Elon with one change. So Elon kind of turns into Dark Elon and just tries to destroy people he doesn't like when they cross him and all that. I didn't see that specific edge from Charlie. Charlie definitely knew how to deal with enemies, and he was wise, and he was aggressive, and he was very effective. So it's not a perfect one-to-one match, but the obsession with the future and also the belief that you can do insane, crazy things that no one else thinks are possible. That's what I dealt with all the time. Like a 10 p.m. message, we should totally do this in 3 years. Or here's a great Charlie story. The night of the inauguration last year, he was texting me about strategy to get J.D. Vance elected in 2028. He just never stopped. He never stopped. And when he felt that God was calling him to do something, it was just like water going downhill. Like nothing could stop him. And nothing could stop him because God was with him. And one thing that I encourage all of you listening who maybe feel defeated because Charlie's gone, the same God who helped Charlie do those seemingly impossible otherworldly things is with you if you follow God. And he's waiting, and he's ready, and he's willing to use you. And don't be intimidated by the fact that we lost the greatest man in my generation. He's experiencing his reward, and now God is ready to use us.
So when did you realize that Turning Point was going to work?
I realized Turning Point was going to work as soon as I started going to campus consistently, because I saw the hunger in our students. So that was early 2015 when, first, while I was wrapping up my undergrad work, I graduated middle of the year in 2015. I was starting Turning Point Ohio with a special emphasis on getting things going at Ohio State, which was the biggest and still is the biggest university culturally in Ohio. And just seeing the hunger that students had and the interest they had when I talked with them at that point about capitalism, the Constitution, what do you believe about feminism, just kind of some softball questions, literally as they walk by. I would go out with a card table, and
you would do the card table thing.
I would do the card table thing with some posters that seemed kind of attractive and outlandish. And then
what would the poster say?
Big government sucks. That was our first big slogan. It would just say big government sucks. Socialism sucks, kind of in the Bernie Sanders logo type. And then we would do all kinds of things with cultural references, like quotes from Game of Thrones or House of Cards, just anything that would make a 19-year-old stop and look and be like, what's this? Just long enough for me to talk to them and be like, hey, what's your name? And the one piece of research we got in the early days, and this is how we built the whole field model. Well, we didn't have a lot of money, but we spent it on field organizers to go out and talk to kids face to face. We learned that college kids were spending so much time on their phone that they were having 4 real substantive conversations a day. This was back in 2015. So our theory was, if we're the 5th one, then maybe we can actually get through to some of these kids.
In other words, they were doing a lot of quick communication on the phone about whatever, but they would only have person-to-person direct contact for substantive conversations today.
And we thought, what if we're the 5th? And that was the whole reason why, with our very little amount of money, we spent it on field organizers in key states.
Did you use any research from George Barna doing that?
Not in the early days, a little bit later on.
Okay.
And I'm very impressed with George, by the way.
Yeah.
But to fast forward, where it started there and ended where we are now, where we have, at this point, over 3,000 chartered high school clubs, which we've rebranded as Club America. We have, at this point, well over 1,000, soon to be over 1,500 chartered college chapters. And what's interesting about that is, in college, we've hit near saturation. We're on virtually every mid-size and major college in all 50 states, a lot of the smaller ones too. So a lot of that is about maintaining the network and then increasing club size. So let's say that at UT Knoxville, we have 300 active chapter members. We want to get up to 500. We want to get up to 700. We want to register them to vote. We want to turn them loose on the rest of the student body to make them more conservative. High school is where a lot of the runway is. And high school is what Eric is very passionate about. It's what Charlie was very passionate about. It's what I'm very passionate about. We've gone from 1,200 to 3,000 chartered high school chapters since the day Charlie died. And Charlie's big vision he pitched to us inside the team. Also, the board was there, a lot of the big investors, at an event in Colorado the month before he died. He charged us with finding some type of way to charter 20,000 high school chapters all across the country. His dream was to create this inverse culture where those teenage years were when you learned about Jesus, when you learned about the founding of the country, when you learned to value marriage, when you learned to value family, so that you were inoculated from the lies of the left by the time you went to college.
By the time you went to college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is a legacy and a vision that Erica has continued on. I look at what happened on 9/10.
We'll talk about 9/10 after the break. We're talking with Josh Tifo, Turning Point USA. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy. Also, we'll have an announcement, a partnership. Back after this.
EJ Haast here, founder of the Digital Footprint Management Agency and frequent guest on the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, here to tell you about GetFoundEverywhere.com. Customers are searching for your business everywhere: Google, Apple Maps, TikTok, and new AI platforms like ChatGPT and Gemini, which is a total disruptor. Traditional search engine optimization isn't dead, but it is on life support. Old tactics don't work anymore. So how can you make your business stand out? GetFoundEverywhere.com makes your business pop on over 50 search, map, review, and AI-driven platforms. With one easy dashboard, manage business profiles, social media accounts, direct messages, even texts and reviews. GetFoundEverywhere.com is affordable, boosts your visibility, and gets your business more customers. It's time to step up your game the easy way. Save time, save money, and get more customers with GetFoundEverywhere.com.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of GlockStore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported the Second Amendment rights of free men and women to protect themselves and their families with firearms. We offer the very best in both selection and prices on Glock handguns, custom Glocks, Glock magazines, and high-performance shooting accessories at GlockStore.com. We also have the finest retail showroom and our Shoot 270 shoot rooms right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Come visit us at GlockStore.com, and you'll be glad you did.
My fellow Americans, my good friends, I've known them for a long time, at D.T. McCall & Sons have the deal of a lifetime for you, and nobody knows deals like I do. That much I can tell you. Nobody knows deals like I do. The lumber yards, they can hit you with hidden charges for up to $200 extra. They'll charge you for cords and hoses and haul-offs. Your money goes all over the place and out of the state, and most importantly, out of your pockets. How do they get away with that? I don't know how they do that, but on day one, if you buy from McCall's, we are going to stop the hidden charges as soon as you buy it. D.T. McCall & Sons has locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, and they have been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years. Head to one of their stores today or check them out at dtmccalls.com. You're going to love it, believe me.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Our guest, Josh Tifo, who was one of the first people to work with Charlie Kirk, Turning Point USA. Been with Turning Point USA, 2014 to now. That's a long time. Were you like the second employee?
So I've been there longer than anyone else of everyone who's still there. So me and Tyler Boyer, the head of our political operations,
sure, yeah.
we have the same start date, so we're tied.
You're tied.
Yeah,
okay.
we were both trained the same day, early January 2015.
You mentioned 9/10/25. Tell us about that.
Well, it's tough to talk about, especially for me because of my personal relationship with Charlie.
Sure.
But you see when something catastrophic happens, like a martyrdom, a quick judgment of who that person was and what they stood for and what they really did. If you're not a good dude, that's when a lot of bad things come out about you. And if you have lived an upright, godly life, the opposite happens. And that's exactly what we saw. We saw Facebook posts about, I met Charlie Kirk in the TSA line 7 years ago, and he told me to read my Bible more, and I did. Now I'm married and I have 2 kids. I mean, we saw saw this earthquake of impact displayed of a life well lived. And it's interesting to me the way that this contrasts with what happened with JFK, with what happened with MLK. When both of them were killed, the people building movements around them, they had some cleanup work to do. There was some stuff that MLK and JFK did that was not good. And with Charlie, it's the opposite. The personal things he did and the things that we didn't even know that he did, the interactions he had with random people all around the country were so positive and so encouraging and so uplifting that the legend built by itself overnight. And another wild thing happened, and it's the reason why he became so much more popular in America after he died. a number of Americans, including a lot of people I know, they actually went on a deep dive and watched hours of his content. So somebody who may not have liked him because they saw some New York Times hit piece or some news chyron about how he's a racist or whatever ways they would try to attack him, they actually listened to what he said. They watched a few hours of his videos. Maybe they read some of one of his books. And almost everyone after that said, wow, I really love this guy. I wish that I would have paid more attention to him when he was alive. So he became even more popular in death because people actually paid attention to what he really said, not just what the news said about him. And I have to say a few words about Erica Kirk and the way that she stepped up. So within a week of Charlie dying, she stepped up and took over as CEO and chair, which is something that Charlie actually heavily recommended to us and heavily recommended to the board. The way it works with nonprofits, you can't will your position, but you can put in your will that you make a recommendation and then the board votes. So the board voted, and Erica stepped into that position, which was a big deal because you had continuity of vision. So you look at Turning Point's explosive growth. You look at how popular it is to be a conservative on campus. Now you look at the push that we've made towards being more and more explicit about spiritual truth. We have a huge Make Heaven Crowded revival tour that will be tearing through the nation over the next several months. We'll have a Nashville stop. I'll tell you when, as soon as I can. We're still setting the final date, probably sometime in the spring. And all of that does not happen if Erica, days after losing her best friend, does not step up and take that position, because she kept, I don't know who it would have been, but anybody else from stepping in and wrecking Charlie's legacy and taking us in a very different direction. So all the projects that I was working on, doing everything that I could to put more emphasis on our faith operations, doing everything I could to push the high school expansion forward, instead of that stopping, it accelerated because of what Erica did. So I very much appreciate what she did despite great personal grief. I look at what specifically happened with Club America. It's extraordinary. So Florida, Tennessee, Texas, Oklahoma have entered into these big public partnerships with us with the goal of putting Club America chapters on every high school in the state and college chapters on every campus in the state. But in a lot of the states, we were already almost there. So most of the growth will be high school. And then also threatened legal action against bad actors, leftist teachers, leftist administrators who try to get in the way of our students who want to form groups. And I have watched our growth just explode. And what seemed like an impossible goal, 20,000 chartered high school chapters, is actually very possible now because of what God has done since 9/10. So praise him, and the battle marches on.
Yeah, you mentioned Tennessee, Texas, Florida. I know there was a press conference, about a month ago?
About a month ago at the Tennessee Capitol.
Yeah, and basically they said, yeah, we're the governor and leaders of Tennessee said, we want to get these chapters in every high school in Tennessee.
And the left freaks out. The New York Times tried to write a hit piece about the state partnerships last week.
I'm shocked.
And it kind of
the New York Times tried to do a hit piece?
It kind of fell flat because there's not really that much they can say. And it's funny how it all works. I was actually off the grid on purpose last week, just being with my family on vacation, unplugging from everything. So I couldn't respond for comment because I didn't know about it. Somebody sent it to me while I was on vacation. It's funny how that works. I shouldn't have commented anyway. And they're freaking out because they're afraid that there's going to be high school chapters in all these states, because if we keep going down this path, there will be. And here's what they hate the most, they freak out about the most. And I know this because this is what Nashville's seen and New York Times and a lot of these bad outlets quote. Whenever I talk about Jesus is when they quote it and they get really scared. The one part of my speech that's been quoted the most by the leftist outlets that they hate is I say, we're working together to create a future where leftist parents are afraid of when their kid becomes a teenager, because that's when they will learn about Jesus and the founding of the country and these bedrock conservative pro-family principles when they're in high school. So imagine a future where the left is afraid of when their kid's going to become 14, 15 because Club America is going to reach them with the truth. That's the opposite of what I've grown up in. I mean, a lot of conservative parents in the country, even now, they're scared of the teenage years when their kid's going to rebel. And I hope that they don't come out as gay. I hope that they don't get an abortion. I hope they don't leave the faith. I mean, what if we just take over culture and we make them scared? I want them to be scared that they're going to lose their kid to their Marxist ideals when they become a teenager.
Towards that end, I guess now would be a good time to announce our partnership here in Tennessee. And I hope we'll be able to expand it into the entire country. We're going to partner with Turning Point USA and Club America High Schools in Tennessee to give away our Guide to the Constitution and Bill of Rights for secondary school students. You could even hold it up right there. It's a book that I co-authored with Claudia Henneberry. It's the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. Covers that all. We've done this for 5 or 6 years. The winner of this National Constitution Bee takes place in one day. The winner gets a $10,000 scholarship to college.
Well, that is amazing. Thank you for your generosity towards our students here. And then the Constitution Bee will be in October,
In
correct?
October, right here in Brentwood.
Mm-hmm.
And how many Club Americas do we have in high schools here in Tennessee right now?
Here in Tennessee, we have approaching 100.
Wow.
So
wow.
And that number, I actually have to continually check before I do an interview on Club America because it grows so quickly. It went from 1,200 to 3,000 just from September to December. But by the time we have the B, I would not be surprised if we're into the several hundred.
So
100%.
we'll need to, and they'll have what, 15, 20 kids in each club?
I mean, oftentimes a lot more than that. Yeah.
Wow. So we'll have to produce a lot of guides to the Constitution.
Yeah, well,
2,500 guides, and also we're going to give away a copy of the Tennessee State Constitution.
Fantastic.
To all the kids. And basically, we'll have little sessions they can go through, learn it. What we found when we've done this previously, every one of the kids that participate in this, they come into the competition with dog-eared copies of this book. And they know their stuff. It's really good. The competition is a lot of fun. We start out with people do the preamble challenge. In other words, they do the 51 words of the preamble, and they deliver it however they'd like to. So somebody will get an award for the most creative delivery of the preamble. Some people sing it. Some people play the ukuleles. One guy did it in Latin. One guy did it deaf signaling. Somebody did it in Spanish. And so we make it fun. The thing about the National Constitution Bee is we do give away a $10,000 prize to the winner, but every kid that shows up is a winner. And the reason is because we encourage them to learn about the Constitution and the founding of our country in ways that really they don't get in public schools these days.
Well, here's what would change everything when it comes to youth culture in America. If every young American had some basic understanding of the Bible and some basic understanding of the United States Constitution, everything would change.
Yeah.
It would be very tough for the left to corrupt anyone who has a basic understanding of those two documents.
And when you go and you talk to the nascent Club Americas, what's that like? Do you get a teacher to sponsor it?
So you need to have, here's the basic outline for us to charter a group. And the way that it works is we actually require every Club America and every college chapter to recharter every year to ensure that it's a real group.
Mm-hmm.
They need to have an executive board of at least 3 students, president, vice president, and then either a treasurer or secretary. Many of them have a 4th and 5th member.
Mm-hmm.
And then you need a faculty sponsor. So that's a teacher, that's a coach, that's an administrator. And then you also need to have some type of growth plan. So our reps, we have hundreds of amazing full-time reps who are out there growing the Club America chapters all the time. They will work with the chapter president to build a plan. So how often are you going to have meetings? Do you want to have a big speaking event with Riley Gaines? How many of your students do you want to get to America Fest at the end of the year?
Would Riley Gaines come to and speak to the Club America here in Tennessee?
I mean, she does all the time. She's
really?
one of the most in-demand speakers we have in the whole country.
So she will go to a high school?
Yeah, she'll go to. I go to them sometimes as well. Oh. So yeah, we send our speakers to the whole network all over the place.
Well, she of course is a Tennessean.
She is. She lives a few minutes down the road from me and my wife.
She's a spectacular person.
She's going to be one. She already is one of the biggest icons in our movement.
She just had a child too, and but she's very, very articulate and an inspiring speaker. So right now, how's it going in terms of getting faculty advisors for Club America?
So it's either very easy or very difficult depending on where you are. So in a conservative area, I mean, they might be fighting each other for who gets to be the sponsor for Turning Point USA. In a blue area, especially urban areas, it can be very difficult. And this is where the state partnerships are so effective. So when you see in the New York Times that me and your governor and your lieutenant governor just did a press conference about how we're celebrating Club America, and we want to have a Club America chapter in every high school in the state, and the state will take legal action against anyone who tries to stop it, is that going to make it more or less likely for the football coach to have the courage to be the staff sponsor for a Club America chapter who's been struggling to find one over the last year? So it removes a lot of the cultural pushback that the left has. That's the big way that they win on campus against us, because our ideas are so popular with the kids. But what they can do is they can explicitly or implicitly threaten discrimination. So they can say, I mean, if you're going to be part of that racist group, I don't know if I'm going to recommend you to go to Yale. Or it can be more explicit, like, you're in my writing class, you better not write about that. But where the rubber really meets the road is a staff member, whether it's a coach, whether it's an administrator, whether it's a teacher, and you are in a very blue downtown Memphis public school, and you're thinking, am I going to get fired if I do this? That's the type of air cover that we're trying to provide for these people. So
I'm guessing, Cannon County, Tennessee, not a problem getting a faculty sponsor for a Club America.
Probably not. And in most areas of the country, not a problem. What I want to do is shift the culture enough so that instead of conservative kids and conservative faculty members being scared of the left, I want the left to be scared of us. And they should be, because most people in America, they hold to basic Judeo-Christian values. They don't hate this country. They're not socialists. They don't think there's 67 genders. I think that if you're one of those fringe leftists who believes that we should not worship God, who believes the founding fathers are these maniacal racists, you should be scared of us. I think that your ideas should be crowded out of American society.
When we come back, we're going to make a special exception today. We're going to skip News Potpourri, which we always do in hour 3 in the last segment. But because we're talking here with Josh Tifo of Turning Point USA, we're going to continue the conversation. What's going on in the future of our country? Back after this.
Tom Carmichael, CEO of Soul Tea, a supplement to help you have a healthier heart and stronger cardiovascular system. At Soul Tea, we regularly get emails from our customers telling us how Soul Tea has helped them. Like this one from Kelly. Hello, I'm 58 years old and have had high cholesterol for years. I wanted to stay away from prescription drugs. My husband and I have been using Soul Tea for about 13 months. My results have been amazing. My cholesterol levels went from 291 to 129. I am so impressed with Soul Tea and want to thank you. Now, in my own case, my bad cholesterol dropped from 130 to 89, and that was 20 years ago. I'm 75 years old and I take 0 prescription drugs. To get a great deal on Soul Tea, please go to GodzillaHeart.com, and when you check out, use the code Godzilla to get our best deal, which is 50% off your first shipment and then 3 bottles for the price of 2 thereafter. You don't have to live with a broken heart.
Do you suffer from
Try
declining
Soul Tea
bone and
today.
joint health? Hi, it's Tina with the John Fredericks Media Network. And when I heard about our company's Women's Challenge, I jumped on the opportunity to test this amazing supplement that's already restoring my bone density, soothing my joint pain, and helping me regain lost mobility. I've experienced so many benefits in such a short time with Native Path Collagen Peptides because they support my bones and joints, boost my metabolism, and unleash the most radiant skin and hair since my 20s. In just 2 weeks, my knee stiffness is gone, and I'm already hitting the gym more aggressively. And I get so many compliments on my glowy skin and shiny hair. Native Path Collagen Peptides are so easy to take. They're tasteless, odorless, and mix great with my morning coffee. Read thousands of 5-star reviews at getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Level up your self-care with Native Path Collagen Peptides. Try it risk-free for as low as $21 today and get free shipping at getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cells Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's healthycell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. We're closing out our program today with Josh Tifo, who is an executive with Turning Point USA, was one of the first hires there. Good friends with the late, great Charlie Kirk. Are you optimistic or pessimistic about the future of America?
I'm incredibly optimistic because of what I'm seeing in youth culture. It has never been more culturally accepted to talk about Jesus on a high school or college campus. It has never been easier to convince high school and college students to follow traditional values. I'm actually seeing so many young women follow the trad wife movement, wanting to become stay-at-home moms, that it's creating an economic problem because it doesn't work unless there are enough young men who can make enough money to support those women.
So young men have to step up.
That's the one X factor. So if young men step up to any measure, then we're going to have a tremendous, prosperous future for this country. And if they don't, then you're going to have this army of young women who want to be stay-at-home moms and focus on raising kids, and they will not be able to, and that's actually going to cause a tremendous amount of social angst. So if young men stand up, follow God, take responsibility, and make enough money to support a wife who wants to stay at home, we're going to see this era of not just financial, but social and spiritual blessing, unlike anything that's been seen in the last 100 years in the United States of America.
Do you think that the institutions of public education, particularly the teachers' unions and some of the organized educrats, are going to be impediments to that future?
So they're trying, but the one thing that will change everything is the fact that Trump has the courage, and Linda McMahon deserves a lot of credit as well. They have the courage to take down the Department of Education. When there is no Department of Education, if they actually follow through on shuttering that agency and education returns to the states, you're going to see a beautiful competition take place. When the federal teachers unions have a lot less power, and when you can actually see the difference in test scores without federal money coming in to rescue poor systems between California and Tennessee, for example, then we will quickly understand what works and what does not. You look at the future of AI in education, it's very easy to efficiently teach large numbers of people. I hate to break it to the teachers unions, there will probably be fewer teachers hired. It will take fewer teachers to adequately, properly educate large number of kids, especially because it's easy to develop AI algorithms that provide custom learning solutions that actually help a kid read and write and do math quicker. So we just need to do all of that.
All the teachers union executives are shuddering when they hear that.
Yeah, I mean, you're about to lose most of your power, and there are going to be many fewer teachers, and people in America are actually going to learn much more efficiently. So it all depends on how it's harnessed, and also you just have to make it cool to learn again, and that's something that I'm beginning to see more and more in youth culture in America. When a kid doesn't have any sort of hunger to learn about these things, it's much harder to teach them. I mean, I even see this back in my college transcripts. My grades in virtually every class were directly tied to how much I cared about that topic. If I was just horrifically bored, it was probably a B-, and if I loved it, it was an easy A. So I am seeing a bright future because you can rebuild the American education system on a state-by-state basis in a way that harnesses technology and strips almost all the power from the teachers' unions. You do all of that, I mean, you can bring Judeo-Christian values back into education, and then all of a sudden the kids aren't depressed and addicted and anxious. They want to get married. They want to have kids. So yes, I'm very optimistic about the future of the country.
In the 19th century, using the McGuffey reader, teenage girls would teach reading, writing, and arithmetic in like one-room schoolhouses. And the kids that came out of there were, in many regards, much higher in their capabilities to read, write, and do math than the kids are today, with all the money that's being spent on them.
Well, it's because most kids in the government school system are not being taught by people who actually care about them and know what they're doing. And that is a tremendous condemnation on our education system here. The first step towards triaging that damage is completely eliminating the Department of Education and then letting states take full ownership of that education process. I also want to see a lot more faith-based education programming that returns the heart and the soul to our education system. I mean, we put one nation under God on things in our country, and then we think that we can just remove the idea of God from our education system. Secular leftism is a religion. And it is a religion that is being rejected by a lot of young Americans. So do you want these people to be floating out in space not believing anything, or do you want to actually teach them the truth?
You know, that will clearly work in red states. But what about blue states where there's huge political opposition to this and entrenched interests that don't want it to happen?
So that dynamic is actually one thing that can cause blue states to fall. So let's say a state like Tennessee gets even more power over its education system. DOE has been shuttered. And we decide that we're going to put Judeo-Christian programming back in our public schools. We're going to embrace AI optimization. We're going to crush the power of the teachers' unions. And we're essentially going to prioritize educating our students not just on basic skills, but also on critical thinking in a way that interests them. All of that will result in a product where Tennessee is prospering and California is not, Illinois is not, New York is not. They're still depressed. They still have no drive. They still have mental illness issues.
Mm-hmm.
They still have no desire to learn. And just the difference in outcomes will be a condemnation on modern day American Marxism.
You know, I grew up in upstate New York, and my dad was a teacher, then a principal. The schools there, when I was a kid, were great. They are awful now. And one of the reasons because they're set up to provide employment for the teachers and political power for the teachers' unions. Not a lot of interest in the kids there.
There's one way that you could change everything. You could make almost all teacher pay merit-based and tie everything institutionally as an administrator, and then also all the way down to the teachers who are working person to person with students every day, and tie everything based to outcomes.
Last question for you. You could live anywhere in the United States of America, and yet you chose Nashville. Tell us why.
I mean, how could you not want to raise a family here? I lived in West Palm Beach for a while, had a lot of fun there. It was great. But we chose Nashville, Tennessee, because of the values, because the people here are so genuine, and because this is the best way that we can give our kids the best life.
And I agree with that wholeheartedly. Tennessee, folks, the best state in the union, and no state income tax ever. Josh Tifo with Turning Point USA. Josh, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Michael. Had
Appreciate
a great time.
All right, Rob Carson up next. I'll be back Monday morning at 9 o'clock Central Time. I hope you have a great day. The website, TennesseeStar.com. TennesseeStar.com. Thanks for joining us.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Hey there, it's Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of GlockStore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported our Second Amendment rights with GlockStore.com, the world's #1 source for Glock handguns, parts, and accessories. I also support accurate, unbiased journalism like The Michael Patrick Leahy Show. His team broke the Kilmar Abrego Garcia traffic stop and was the first to obtain that video. Independent journalism at its finest. Visit us at GlockStore.com. Listen to Michael Patrick Leahy and make America great again.
FlatFeeNashville.com is a full-service real estate brokerage that charges homeowners a upfront flat fee of $999 to completely list market and sell your home. We are all about saving consumers money, saving that equity. Nobody should hire an agent and feel like when that agent walks in the door, that agent is more concerned about the down payment on their next Mercedes purchase versus saving the equity that those homeowners have worked hard for. I've spent my entire career in ensuring that the equity that people save and they put into their monthly mortgage every single month, as much of that as we possibly can goes back to them when they go to list and sell that home. The idea is to give homeowners the ability to really create generational wealth.
Flatfeenashville.com, flatfeenashville.com.